So
Sweet, that's all good, all good.
you know the tournament that's coming up, the men's tournament.
Yeah.
How did the idea come about? Because that's pretty much like you said, our age group
Yeah.
going in
yeah.
now to play.
Or under 25s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Uma foi essa
Yeah, no, it's the age group. With lot of players that are coming through, especially Pacific Island players. You know, the 80s babies and the 90s and stuff like that. They're all still playing. You know, they're currently playing some level of basketball, social masters or mixed grade, and so this tournament was just to make sure that they were still engaged in our culture. Still, our heritage is still there, just the same as the last October tournament. So those are the important things, and just to get out there on the floor and just represent and play and stuff like that, and because our communities are the ones that are playing a lot. So for us adults to get together and just play basketball at a high level or master's level, which is good because there's different grades and stuff. So it's good for our communities out there. So 28 teams, 280 athletes. So
28 teams. How'd you manage to get that? Because I mean, that's a lot of teams.
Yeah. Well, the last tournament we had 56 teams.
Yeah,
there's all youth teams, and that was quite easy because youth play. But in terms of this tournament, there was a couple of nations that still wanted to put more than one team. Yeah, so there's three grades. There's the women's elites, there's the men's elites, and then there's the men's masters, 35s and up. So I was gonna go 35s and then 40s, but then it was like, there's not enough teams in the 40s, so we just put them all together anyway. But yeah, so there was just surprisingly there was a lot of teams. They were keen. So, but this weekend there's the Māoris New Zealand Basketball Nationals happening in Rotorua. They've got 200 plus teams down there. Yeah, heaps of teams all spread out in Rotorua. So that's cool. So hopefully we're able to get a couple of Māori teams join next week. So all good.
How many of the coaches that were last year's? The coaches that did the youth teams. How many of them?
I think most of them are. They were coaching in that October tournament.
Yeah.
They're all playing now in either masters or elites and stuff like that. And there's a few other guys I recognise when the registrations come through. Oh yeah, that guy's still playing. Oh, that guy's still playing. So it was actually quite good.
That's the thing about the basketball community, like everyone knows everyone.
You know someone there, or like, oh yeah, I know that guy, I know their last name and stuff like that. That kind of thing, which is good. It shows you how supportive, I guess, the community is, especially the Polynesian Pacific Island community.
It's funny because we had Tim Provise on about 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about how basketball had given him everything, as in terms of like he'd travelled over to, he'd been to Madison Square Garden, he'd been overseas,
Guam,
Guam,
India,
and then he's and he went and played under Coach Roy Williams, from North Carolina. And the thing is about us, because we all we love basketball, especially you've been overseas as well. That's the power of basketball, and it's funny that and the cool thing is that you're showcasing what basketball can do for the Pacific community too.
No, that's always going to be something you can always take away with basketball. It takes you everywhere. If you want to go around the world and play ball, it's a blessing to have that. And my son sees that too. Now he's back after the first lockdown, and he's like, man. Shucks, when he was overseas, he was travelling all over the states just playing basketball.
Yeah. Speaking of your son, like I saw him highlights. You did the 3-on-3 down.
Oh yeah, for the Huskies. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, enjoyed that.
Who won that comp?
Who won that one? I think it was the Sharks that won.
Oh
yeah. But they beat the Sharks in the round robin.
Oh okay.
Yeah. So I think and then they lost against them in the semis. I think like that. Yeah, King. So they had a young team. Everyone was like, I think. It was a 22-year-old, and then it was Jordan, and then and then Leo was the youngest, and the other guy was from Rosmini. So it was a really young team. But it was funny because I actually ratted them out. I was like, oh, no, you guys are not going to make any finals or anything. And then next minute, yeah, oh, you come third. Oh, yeah. And then I get this text. I was like, oh, yeah. He texts me and say, there we came third. Ha ha. I was like, oh, okay, all good, all good. Yeah, I saw the highlights. Yeah. No, he played well.
Because that 3-on-3 competition is legit now. It's a real.
Yeah, well,
I was just thinking,
sport,
you know, when you said about 3-on-3, they had that at the Youth Olympics or something like that.
yes.
Is it? Do you think it's gonna catch on? Like,
Well, it's an Olympic sport now. It's an Olympic sport now, so I think it's going to, because it's in FIBA too. So the popularity of the sport's growing, just like how sevens is growing.
Yeah, I was just thinking like it's like a short, like 2020 kind of like a.
It's like that. So they're gonna. So now it's official now. You can play 3-on-3 and get a gold medal and stuff like that, which is cool. You know, the hardest thing with that is because there's so many players, and suddenly you can only take a team of 5 players, you know, and then 3 on the court, 2 subs. Ooh, that game's real short, so 21 or was it? I think it's 7 minutes. I think, a game. So
Is it first to 21 or whoever's
got the highest? Okay. And when the time runs out. So,
okay.
It gets intense. It's a little bit different from traditional basketball. The cardio is different, obviously, and just you're active for all that duration you're on the court. So the subs have got to be on and off, continuous. It's watching it on TV is pretty good. Yeah. So Drew got a 2019, medal at the South Pacific Games for Samoa.
Oh, cool.
They came third.
Yeah.
Yeah, they played against, I think it was Marshall Islands for third and fourth. Yeah, and they beat him to get the cup. He carved up in that game. I was like, suddenly this guy's.
Who won that cup?
It was Guam. Well, Guam won the men's 5-on-5, and then they won that 3-on-3. Yeah, it was like they had Lincoln. They had the facilities at all the islands.
Yeah,
they had the facilities to run clinics. They were similar to New Zealand, because they had all the right stuff, all the right gear, and everything else. Once the Pacific grows, they're going to be unstoppable. But at this stage, just trying to find the right people in the right places. Yeah.
Guam, mate, it's probably about. It's funny because when Lomas Brown came on, he said it was going to. It was Lomas Brown, eh?
Yeah, the concert.
He said this was just before COVID, though, eh?
But that got cancelled.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Lomas Brown. Lomas Brown, the singer.
Oh.
Yeah, and he said he was going to Guam, and I was like, wait, well, and like, yeah, man, they love our music over there. And I'm like, mate.
Yeah, Guam is the actual. How would you call it? The indigenous people are called Tamora. That's the actual people. They look like us. But they were invaded by the Spanish first, and then by the ruled over years, and then after that, they're invaded by the Japanese, and then after that, the US took over. So, and there was like when we were there, we did the tour of Guam when I took my under-17s team to the championships, Samoa team. It was quite interesting that I wanted the kids to have the cultural experience there. They were just like us. They were like island people, and they were just. But the Japanese during the World War time, they came and tried to take over the islands and stuff like that. And there was one of the islands they hit first was him, and we went to the places that they were. Actually decapitating people's heads off, the Japanese people, and the tour guy said that 80% of their tourists are from Japan. Yeah, and they don't know that it happened. So Japanese are trying to take away from the history books that they actually did that. Yeah, but the Tomoran people, it's there.
Yeah, of course.
So there's spots, ceremonial spots, there's prayer spots. So they go to. It was quite sad, it was quite sad to hear. That's why you get a lot of Asian-looking
people from Guam.
Yeah, from Guam.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite. yeah, it was quite interesting. We were hearing that. It was quite sad, just the guy that took us around. He looked like a full Samoan guy, but when he talks, you from here? He goes, no, I'm Samoan from Samoa. Oh, he's Samoan. Oh, like that. So he looks, and then that's a pure person from Guam, Tamora, and he spoke the traditional language. It was quite interesting, quite emotional when he was telling us, and I was like, because another islander hearing their stuff was like, far out, been ruled by the Spanish Revolution, then been ruled again by, like, far, it must have been really tough times, and they're just.
Well, as a Samoan, we can relate to it too because we've had the same. We've had people for
it was just sad.
The German and
it was sad, and now the reason why I think the reason why a lot of the Americans are taking over their place because their waters are deep. Their marines can their ships can actually sit in the waters over there, which is okay. A lot of Samoans actually posted there, and but they work for the Marine Corps in America, so it was quite interesting. It was cool, nice place.
So that'd all be from American side, then, all this, because I know that people, I've heard stories. Everyone knows, if you join the Marines or something, when you're from American side, it's kind of a way to get into into the States.
Into the States, because you got that's your passport now.
Yeah,
sweet, cool. That's all you. But going there was actually quite good. I've never been there, so we went to the.
So whereabouts is Guam?
So Guam.
We need a fact checker. Also, fact checker. So we would have had it up on the screen.
It's not. So you have to fly to Philippines, Manila, and then Manila to Guam. So it's not far from Manila. So the Filipinos, they look similar to them, but you can tell the difference and stuff. There's no taxes there in Guam. No taxes. So you go there and you buy a pair of shoes, you're not going to get taxed. Like I bought a pair of Jordans, LeBron James size 15 for Avi for. So they're like $12, man, US.
Damn.
Because there's no one that's going to fit them there.
They probably had it on a shelf in a glass casing.
So you go there, they've got size 6 all the way to size 15, and all of size 6 all the way to 9 is all gone.
Yeah.
But seeing size 10 all the way, there's heaps of shoes. So it was actually good shopping. I used to go there, the fuck out. I was thinking, all these boys. So now, great experience, It's just like Samoa. It looks like Samoa. Drive past, all the trees and all that, coconuts and everything like that. So it was really good.
I wonder how much does it get there? To Guam.
To Guam.
Pay a little bit, come back with a whole lot of shoes to sell and trade me.
I actually did that. I
actually
did that. Yeah. But a suitcase, I guess, cool, yes, cool. Like $50 cheaper than the actual,
Yeah.
But they're all just shoes. It's just people that, it's not just shoes, it's everything else. The gears and everything else. They got exactly the same shops in the city. There's a strip that, honestly, you have to have about 10 grand in your pocket to go shopping down there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, because there's so much.
Well, when you walk into a Gucci store and you realize that you're not meant to be in there because there's no price tags on anything. So it's like, okay, I should be. All the kids are going in, trying on these bags. There's no price tags on it. Oh, yeah, what's that mean? That means you can't afford it. Put it back. Yeah, let's crack up. Yeah.
So what about, you're talking about your team. How did they find it? Was it as, how you said you were getting emotional when they were explaining to it? Did it kind of hit home for them? Like, how fortunate they are?
I think because a lot of them, there were 3 boys from Samoa.
Oh,
3 boys from Samoa. The rest were from New Zealand. And they were like 15, 16, 17, a mixture of ages. And that whole experience, they just want to have fun and stuff like that. Yeah, all good. Sweet as. It was funny that on that ship they used to work on their speaker, turning on their music. They'll do their haka. They do they'll stand. So honestly, it was like in China or something. Taking photos. These singers coming up and taking these photos of these boys doing the Manu Samoa in front of the Gucci store. So I literally got this guy. They're doing the Manu Samoa. So late, man. So that was they bonded really well throughout the whole tour. Even though we didn't do as well as we wanted to, but they bonded, you know, because we had the challenges against New Zealand and Australia. Those are the two big dogs who were like, oh, I'm going to get those dogs. So yeah, it was good going to the universities, having a look at the universities that are there. Yeah, a lot of scouts came through. Yeah, college scouts, they were there too, watching. So it was a good tournament. Culture-wise, the kids got to meet a lot of the different islands, Tahiti, New Caledonia. Who else was there? Papua. No, not Papua. Yeah, Papua. Oh, no, sorry, Palau. Palau was the other one. Man, they short people.
Yeah.
I was, oh, shucks, Palau. Oh. Wow. I was like, oh, man, shucks, high school team beat these guys. Yeah, but, you know, they... And here's me complaining about Samoa not having enough resources. Look at those guys. Wow, these guys must have nothing.
Yeah. That's for the love of the game.
Yeah. And they're there and their coach was like, honestly, I thought the hell was Biggie Smalls. So he was sitting. Oh no, actually, what was Biggie Smalls? Yeah, well, Rick Ross. He had these glasses, gold on the side, set there like this. I was like, this is Cracker, big dude, big man, like Cracker, short dude. So that was cool. The whole experience of meeting different coaches and stuff like that. The language barrier, you know, couldn't speak to them because they spoke French. You know, they didn't speak English and stuff like that. Especially the coaches from New Caledonia, you know. He come up to me after the game. He goes it to my son. You fucking beat us, you bastard. Good job. That's what he said. No, but that's all they understand. But he meets it as all good. Like, oh, true. Honestly, the guys in their team, they look like they were 21, 22. It was an under-17s competition. Guy had a full beard on, like three of them. And even before their trainings, they're outside smoking like cigarettes. I was like, wow, it must be like that there. And
I've heard stories of...
Yeah, I've been to New Caledonia. And I was thinking to myself, oh, it must be sort of like that there because, you know, it's not as... Tagging used to be a real bad thing here. You didn't hardly see it anymore. Over there, every rock on the street is tagged on. I was like, this stone's been tagged on. And yeah, so they're still trying to... The youth are rebellious, I think. But there's also a real cultural side over there.
Yeah.
The people that stay in the villages and stuff like that, which is cool because we stayed in Namea in 2011, so that was cool. That was okay.
So that was for basketball as well?
That was for the South Pacific Games adult version, not the adult stuff.
Yeah.
So that was me and what's his name? I forgot his name. Jeez. His last name is Fido, and Johnny Fissolay. So we went over for the team, and I co-captained the team with George. I forgot his last name. Jeez. So we took a team. It was pretty good. So we finished fourth in the competition. It was actually good experience. Yeah, limited resources that we had, but it was actually we took out of 25 sports. Samoa competed in 22, I think. Yeah, from tennis all the way to golf, basketball and stuff like that. And yeah, it was actually quite good. We stayed in the university, and there was actually surprisingly there was actually a few Samoans there. They lived in New Caledonia. Yeah, there was a Fido family that lived there. Yeah, but it's just like Samoa too. Yeah, beaches were a little bit different, but they're actually being rooted up to. So they're French colonized.
Yeah.
So I think it's 10% or 3% or something like that. 3% of the world's silver comes from there. It comes from New Caledonia. So they mine the hills and they mine. So when you actually fly over, you see half of the mountain being sliced in half because they've just been mining all the silver. It's quite sad. They got open soil too. So the soils are like, that's why the marine life is not good around it.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, I saw that. I was like, why does the ocean look like, not alive like the ocean here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, because that's why. Oh, I see. Oh, so the government, that's why the French government doesn't want to take it away, give them their own independency because it's money, billions of dollars. Yeah, so that was, so I learnt a lot of that from you, Kelly, and
I've been there too. I went there 4 years ago, and you're right. It's the funny thing I saw was everybody smoked cigarettes there.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like, everybody. And I'm talking about, like, it's like, the rest of the world is trying to stop smoking. No one told New Caledonia. Because, you go to any cafe and that, and all the families, mum, dad smoking, the kids right next to them. Everyone smokes there.
Yeah,
everyone. It's like, fuck.
Well, it's almost like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially when you buy singles.
Yeah. Ka single ka fang ka single.
So, Seth, how did you get involved with Samoa basketball in the first place?
Oosh.
Like in a coaching.
In the coaching side?
Yeah.
I think I was a player first for them, and then after that, I decided to come back and then just run something for our community here. Because after playing Wellington and coming out to Auckland, I thought to myself, well, there's a massive need for basketball players. And Willie Leonai, he was the director of Samoan Basketball New Zealand. He ran Samoa Cup, obviously, and so that's sort of, okay, cool. It sort of started from there. Well, we'll form a team, put a team in, and there was like, I think about 8 teams in the first tournament. The next year there was 20. Next year there was 40. Grew, massive. It was good. Every year I grew, I put more teams in. So then from there, I think last year it died out. So he stepped away from it, Willie Leone, from being the director. So then I get a call from Talapaunga, which is the president of basketball in Samoa. I said, well, can you take reins now? So now I'm the New Zealand director of Samoa Basketball. Yeah, so I'm the link here. So my job is to actually find coaches, develop the program. We're already doing it already in Auckland. So
right now?
Yeah,
so this minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been doing it for the last 7 years anyway.
So
we've got our
now
program.
you've got an official...
Yeah.
Like,
well, I've got a title now. Because before I was just like, well, I'm just doing it because I love these kids.
Sports,
And now they're, okay, cool, great. Now, it's actually, because when we had Leonai, Willie, not bad track, we were limited, because, Bokua ko inga, the old and stuff like that. And so now that he stepped aside and stuff like that, now they're, okay, cool. We can run stuff now, we can go Wellington. They got a Wellington Samoa basketball down there now. Now the goal is trying to go up and down the country and find more and more players to feed into this system that we're trying to push with these kids to play for Samoa. That's the goal. So now that I can actually, okay, cool. The programs are there. They've been running the program. We've been running our program for ages. So it's no brainer. So that's another pathway for our kids now. And actual, so I don't have to guess. I don't have to go to the director. I'm the director now, so I'm doing it myself. So that kid's great, cool. Sign them up, cool. This is the program. These are the, when FIBA tournaments come up, great, cool. You can put their names forward for it. So the goal is, so there's little things we have to do on the side, like, get their passports done. But FIBA's always going to do that to us. They're always going to give us like we'll chop off one leg and like that kind of thing. They're always going to make it hard for us.
Yeah.
Just put hurdles in front, always. And it's quite sad. It just showed that that Samoa players are developing well, as same as the rest of Australia and New Zealand. I think 2 years ago, there was a team. Last year there was a team that went to early last year. There was a team that went to Papua New Guinea on the 15s FIBA Champions, and my daughter played for that team, and we just lost against New Zealand, our under 15s, and this never happened before. And I saw one Samoan girl in the New Zealand side. She was sitting on the bench, and all sad. And she could have played for him because I knew her personally and I knew her dad. Yeah, and I was like, And then all the other girls that she goes to school with around here, they're on the court playing against the So it's another pathway. It's an opportunity. So that was the goal. And then once they saw the score, honestly, BBC were Ika, they were like, oh man, you know, and they sort of downgraded Samoa, you know, they were saying, oh, they shouldn't even be on our level, that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, well, remember, you know, these girls are developed here in New Zealand and Australia. So it's proven that Samoa, we can develop in Samoa, but we're limited competition. This is the breeding grounds here, you know, here and over there. And it proved it in that game. And it opened up a lot of eyes and, the development program. Yeah, well, those girls come from the program that I've been running in Auckland. Yeah. You see, now it's trying to get more and more kids because, if anything, it's a percentage. We need 30% from New Zealand, 30% from Australia, 30% of players from from Samoa to make the one team because they want that, which is fine.
You think Samoa have an advantage or any Pacific basketball team because, you know, they can get to pick players from those countries, no? That grow up in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, yeah.
If they're not good enough that Australia and New Zealand doesn't pick them,
then,
well, you know,
it's always left up to the coaches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's always left up to the coaches. Yeah. So depending on how development that girls get to play in Samoa, it's hard. You know, the culture. There's always the barrier. Oh, you got to do fouls, got to do this, got to do this. Unless you're, it's a little bit hard in that sense. Yeah, because the women's play it a lot. Yeah, and not to be sad to them, but the traditional stuff they don't have to do. So basketballs, they can just play it. Doesn't really matter. When you get the other side, a traditional gang, they have to do the fouls, you know, kailapis, do all this stuff, you know, serve the family. There's no time for them to play ball. So the opportunity is not there, you know. So it's the amount of kids coming through is limited, you know, and it's only the kids that are from that church background because they play.
What do you think another reason for that is how prestigious the game is, like in New Zealand, in terms of New Zealand, like over here, like if you're good at rugby or black, you know, there's money coming in, but basketball is like pretty tricky, you know.
It is tricky, you know, you're definitely right, until you go to the right systems, into the right contexts and countries to play for. Like there's a kid now, Levick is his name. He's the tall Tongan kid that plays for St. Kitts. It's like 16, 6'8", massive, huge. So he's actually going to France. He's not going to go the college route, which is fine. You know, he wants to be a pro. Sweet, go be a pro. All good. You know, I don't think school was for him. He came out of Maroa school, and then they offered him a scholarship to go to St. Kitts. So he's been there since. He'll be year 12 this year, I think. Year 12 this year. But a great kid. Great kid. Now he's got to play in France, and I'm not sure the details of that, but he's going to be a pro player, which is great. They'll keep him for years.
You know, the cool thing about what you just said about him is that if you notice, there's a lot of guys that play club rugby. You know, they played for Waitemata, they played for Messi, and they don't quite make the Auckland team or the All Blacks team. Here's that kid. What's his name?
Levick.
He's showing them what all these other club guys do. When they make a living. Yeah, it's possible to make a living playing basketball. Look, he's going to France. Yep. And like he's gonna be, to me, it sounds like he's a bit of a trailblazer because other kids that don't want to play NBL, they're gonna go, hey, I get to go, you know, because Israel's another huge league. You know, that's another chance to go travel overseas. Yep. Like if you have ball, you know, we'll travel. That's why I like that story because he's gonna show the kids, man. Because if you look at, it's funny when like there's a page on Facebook of all the other island guys that are overseas that come back and play for Samoa. They would never have got the exposure here, but it wasn't until they blew up in France or blew up in
exactly
England.
Right.
Hey, that's when Samoa went, oh, I didn't see him, but you know, bring him back here. So my lali also waits come on, you know, and that's what you can do now.
Like he's exactly the same. Yeah, exactly. You know, some of these kids will go off and play everywhere else. Like, you know, there's so many kids in the US. You know, they got a US passport too. You know, I'm trying to tap into the area, hey, because they're exposed at higher level basketball.
So, and they've been playing it. They dot.
So it's like, well, hey, look, that's another area we can have a look at. You know, they can go back and play for their home country. Just by playing in their last tournament and coaching in their last South Pacific Games, Drew was playing. Guam had the Wesley brothers, Ty Wesley, and his brothers. So it was actually quite cool. You know, the guy's he's playing for his brothers. He's retired now. He's retired last year, but he was with Melbourne United, I think. That was the team, so it was actually quite good seeing him play. And yeah, it was interesting. And I was telling my son, like, he goes, where are you from? He goes, from New Zealand. I go, New Zealand? Never seen you before. He goes, yeah, well, you know, he come under the radar because there's those New Zealand coaches didn't pick him up because, well, now I heard from one of these guys that he's high up there in the basketball community. He's like, man, not to be biased, but you know, your son's probably the most explosive point guard that New Zealand has right now. You know, and you talking about my son, true? He goes, yeah. And he's probably one of the best combo guys that there is. And he never came through a system like that. Yeah, because I think for Drew to be hungry, it's good for him to be hungry all the time instead of being up there. You know, everyone, if you grew up being the top of your game all the way through from 13 all the way up, you're going to lose that competitiveness. They're hungry, always looking for fusu, like they're always looking for something. How are you going to get better? How are you going to get better? So Drew was always like that growing up, and then once he surpassed that, you know, I have to be the person to like, hey, you've done your training, done this, done. Now he's looking at himself now, but at the same time, that's it. The mentality trying to drive for all these other kids coming through the system. Like Levick, you know, Levick's not the greatest kid. They want to train all the time. But Drew's always talking to him because they're running with the Huskies. You know, he's playing with the Huskies now. So, yeah, which is good. Yeah.
It's you know, with your son, he's a prime example of, is there kind of like, you know, through the age groups and that, it's kind of like the way New Zealand basketball is like, do they have actual talent scouts out there identifying these guys? Because there's how did your son fall through the cracks?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's
the talent? Do they have the proper talent scouts there, or is there a bit of favoritism? Like, you know, if you were in under 12s, you're my guy. I'm going to bring you up to under 13s, and hey, I know the coach up there. Yeah, I'll go have a talk to him.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. They just get guys in there, like, you know, not to be sad, but there are no Samoan faces there. Well, one of my closest, closest friends from Wellington is Natu Tofale. You know, he's actually the New Zealand development officer for basketball, BBZ. So he's still there, but they're after the best of the best. You know, it's like, well, my son's going to training. He's dunking on those best of the best. You know, what does that say? So it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting that area, but I'm not sure what the details of that. But I sort of left that anyway and decided to create another route for my son. Because, hey, well, we're going to start more route. We're going to play at the same stage as these guys. You know, we don't have to go through all those hurdles of being the single Samoan kid playing for that one team. It was funny because that one kid, that was Samoan, his name was Cruz. He went to Rosemary. He was the kid that was ripping up at the 2017 tournament in Guam. So we stand out. You know, we stand out like a sore thumb, and it's just it doesn't reflect it at these exposure camps. You know, because BBNZ want to pay $500-600 just to go to a camp. I was like, what the heck? And for what? So coaches to look at you and say you're not good enough to do this, and then yeah. But I've been through that, and I was like, nah, it's not good. That's why all these other associations and myself are creating different avenues. So we have the US avenue, we have the Samoan pathway. So those are the two big avenues because those are two big stages. It's important to me that it happens especially for not just Samoan kids, but all the Polynesian community kids, you know. And a lot of them are uneducated on how to do it. They just don't know where to go, who to talk to, that kind of thing. Like, oh, come talk to me, we'll talk you through it. There's a lot of, you know, because some of them, you know, you see a good Samoan kid, but they're probably not a Division 1 player. And a lot of them want to play NCAA, D1. Because, no, remember, college, university route it's an experience. You know, you may not be the 1% to get to there. If you want to, you got to work your ass off. You know, just like I had a kid, Buffy Mosea, he plays for Otago now. I got him a scholarship to what was it called? The Cockers. That's what they called Cockers University in South Carolina. Yeah, South Carolina, I think. So he was a D2 player. You know, cutthroat over there when they fired the coach, and they changed the whole stuff, and then when their coach came through, and unfortunately he had to come back because the coach gave the scholarship to someone else, which was sad. But at the same time, he's still tired of. Now he's an NBL player now, you know, which is great. Great run for it. The kid's 19, 20, Samoan boy. So there's always opportunities like that, and he's a great player. He played for that. You might have seen him play in the 3-on-3. He played for the New Zealand squad that was in there with the Meuli guy. Did you see that team?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, they beat Drew in the round robin, and then Drew beat them again in the quarters and stuff like that. So just having those kids playing in those environments, you don't have to play Division 1 to look at, because there's different ranks in the college level. There's even Canada. It's just that everyone's going to the US because the NBA. Yeah. But you could be a pro player, going to Canada University and get picked up from there to a US team or to a Europe team. You know, there's other ways. Canada's just as good, you know, but they've only got one NBA team, which is fine.
If you think about the NBL, Australian NBL, and you have to see the imports, or even imports that come here for the New Zealand, you know, from the States. Yeah, it's the same thing. They're professional basketball players. They go around the world. Yeah. Look for contracts, jump in the team.
Look for contracts, yeah.
Next team.
Cool, make 20 grand, 2 months, sweet, all good.
Yeah.
I think Houston, they signed, sorry, not Houston, Huskies signed a player from Houston University. It's like 24, I think, right? 25. Yeah, looked pretty good. I saw his highlights. Oh, this guy's not too bad. The 2-man, yeah. So, yeah.
Because you think about all the... You finish your senior year in university, you know, paying for the basketball team, and then you don't get drafted. You might go summer league, didn't get undrafted or not. Yeah. And then what are you gonna do? Go overseas. Right? Yeah. So that's why there's a lot of imports everywhere in all these different leagues around the world. You know.
I think the other thing, I think what's cool about what you're doing is that I hope these kids know that, you know, if they don't make Division 1, there's still a chance that they're gonna get a free education as well. Because I mean, if you go to university here, you're gonna end up with a $40,000 student debt. But if you play well enough and you get a scholarship for a Division 2, Division 3 university, you can play, you know, do something that you love, and your senior year you get to, you know, walk away with a degree. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you know,
it's huge. A lot of kids think, there's always the sad story, you know, the sad news you got to tell a kid. Oh, hey, look, you're not good enough to play at these levels here. You know, you may be NAIA, you know, which is lower than D3, you know, which is like community college, those kind of. But you get the experience like everywhere else and stuff like that, and then you bring that experience and you can just take it to anywhere around the world if you want to keep playing ball. Because all kids think they can play that high level. And what I tell them, you know, I'm lucky to be the father of Drew, you know, like, you know, what he's been through. He's been through hell when I, you know, growing up, because this is why, you know, so he thanks me, he knows, I look at him like, okay, all right. But, you know, as a father, that I can say that, well, if you're not training hard like this guy, you know, then you're not going to get there. Because I get in texts like, from some of the coaches that are like, oh, hey, are they, because they know Drew, I'm sending these footage and stuff like that, are they anything like Drew? And to be honest, like, they're not, you know, I'm like, but the kids I'm sending to, trying to find them places over there, but I'm thinking, well, they're not, you know, they're not like Drew. Because if I was to coach their kids the way I was coaching myself, I'd probably get arrested and locked up. Because that's the way it was between me and him. So the love and hate relationship between my son. But then, I told him, you know, your pathway is not here. You know, you're just playing somewhere else, and you have to make a life out of it. And kids don't. They see all the, you know, they see the fruits of the labor, but the hard work, that starts away from the cameras, away from all of this, away from all that. That's where it started. You know, the 5 o'clock starts in the morning, the 6 o'clock starts. Hey, get up when you're still sleeping, and the kamumuing and the and the crying to his mum and asking for his mum. Oh, mum, we need the kamale. Let's go like that. So you know, it's a lot of those come to, and the kids don't realize that. They think you know it's no, get up and just go train. No, yeah, it is that, but there's always the extra. You know, everyone's constantly training, constantly getting better every day, and you got to start at a young age. You can't start when you're 16, 17. You can't do that, you know. You may make it in New Zealand, but if you want to go over there, man, it comes. Yeah, it's you have to be bleeded every single day and want it every single day.
Did you have that work ethic before you went over to the States?
No.
So that was, you know, when you talk about experience, is that what you learned from over there?
Yeah. I think just going over there, it was that. But I was also learning that from Kenny McFadden. So he reminded, because I had Drew, and I was having a baby on the way, and he just brought it back. So I was just like, oh, okay, I remember my time in the US, and now hearing his voice, just being there, you know, playing Division 2 in Wellington for the Saints, and just, it was just like I was back in there, in the States, and just, you know, shooting, because his voice, hey, get the shot up, and his constant motivation. Just hearing his voice, you know, just hearing him say, let's go, get up. It just motivated you. Oh, great, sweet. You know, just bounced on it. And a lot of kids take that for granted, you know. They take that because he's got a lot of experience in the man. And, you know, I'm real fortunate that I had the opportunity to play in them. So I still catch up every now and then. Yeah.
You know, that work ethic, man, just reminds me of how my feelings changed towards Kobe Bryant.
Oh, yeah.
Because, man, I hated that guy. But then, you know, when he started coming out with his Mamba mentality, and he just broke it down every chance he's got, like, then you get to see, like, why he's like that, why he's sort of like the best. Because, you know, when I thought about it, I thought, man, you know, Michael Jordan, he never told, you know, he kept it to himself. But he's Kobe Bryant, you might have hated him. But then he comes out with the Mamba mentality and sort of, like, you know, inspires people to...
Yeah.
He shows how crazy he was, you know, because he did all that stuff you talk about.
Yeah.
Like wake up, bloody 3 a.m., go to the gym.
Yep.
Like try to outwork everybody.
Yeah, outwork everyone. Yeah. And a lot of kids, you know, it's a pleasure to be playing ball in our country right now. You know, everyone else is like locked down and can't do anything, and some kids take it for granted. They don't want to train. Because they do other stuff. They're doing this. Oh, that's cool. You know, and that makes it easier for me to make a selection of players I want to take to the US, which is fine. Because, well, you want to do that or you want to do this? There's no in between. You either do one or the other. If you want to commit yourself, this is what we're going to do. I'm taking you there. It's going to be hard. It's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. But this is the road. You know? If you want to do this, that's fine. You can do that. I don't know anything about this. All I know is the system here. Yeah, so, and a lot of kids, that's why the Samoan program is important, and this Polynesian program is important to our people. There's nothing like it for basketball in New Zealand. There's all these other tournaments, which is fine, but not a tournament that umbrellas all of these different nations in Auckland. And not just Auckland, it's trying to open up to the rest of the country too, where there are communities out there. Is trying to find them, or if there's players out there that can join or create a community. It's the initiative. It's the trying to get their mindset. You know, like there was no New Air in basketball ever. Now there is one, you know, and all the New Air kids go there, which is great. It helps them. It helps them. And Nigel Mahakito, he runs it. Now there's Kokano one. Now there's a Kiribati. You know, still waiting for Tuvalu. They're still coming along, but there's all, and then there's Tokelo. So there's a few out there that started. Now there's something they can come to and play instead of just playing in their umbrella that they have. Like there's Samoan competitions or there's Tongan competitions. So now there's a big one where you don't have to jump all over the hurdles to go to wherever country to play for your country. No, you can just do it in Auckland because Auckland's so big.
You know, for a country like Niue, starting a basketball team.
Yeah.
Does that come when When does organization like FIBA come into the picture for a new country joining basketball? Like, I mean, I think it's sort of like
hopefully FIBA can look at this program and acknowledge it, that it can be part of what they want, because Niue has never had a basketball team in the FIBA games ever. They've had a sevens team and everything else, but they've never had a basketball team. So,
but you know, when I think about this, any sports organization around the world that sort of like not control, but organize all the sports. Like for organizations like FIBA, they've got a responsibility to grow the game. So when they see a country like Niue suddenly have a basketball team never had before, what sort of triggers their radar on that? What do they have to do for FIBA to come to the party and say, "Oh yeah, cool, you guys made a team, cool, we'll help you out, we'll throw someone"? Is that what happens? Or?
Well, because this is Nigel is obviously based here in New Zealand. He could look elsewhere, but I think because just like every other island country, the facilities are here. I don't know if there's anything in Niue that could help them develop, but I know the players are here.
Oh, okay.
They're here, and it's easy access, and they can develop them here and grow them, and maybe 6-7 years from now they'll have some sort of team that can represent themselves, and they should be acknowledged that way, because that's what FIBA hasn't done anything to ignite that, because they're waiting for their country to. It's not going to happen in the country, because it's all it takes is just one person to make. I want to develop this. Yeah, and I knew Nigel for years, and I told him, Nigel, you got to stop playing now. Start coaching. Yeah. So he goes, yeah, okay, all good. So he's gonna. So he started that now, which is great. And he went on I think on UF on what you call it, 531. Did a show on there, and he talked about it. He talked about the Niue community and how what he wants to try and do and grow basketball and grow more, which is cool. Like, great, man, I watched it like, man, this is cool. Good on him for this tournament, because now there's something for these kids to play for. It's different playing for an area. Cool, I'm playing for Newland or playing for Southside, but once you play for your country of heritage, that's different. There's a calling.
I was going to say that it was because these kids that maybe are just on the brink of maybe making an Auckland or a White Sandwich team, when you trial and you make Samoa and that, I think it could only make them hungrier to it's either going to give them aspirations to try and make the Auckland or the New Zealand team, or go like your dream was like, oh no, I'm going to stay and I'm going to be the first guy that played for Samoa in the 12s, 13s, and then we made it to
There's a few. I know there's parents that are coming along and they think, Samoa programs must be a bunch of fobs running it or something like that. Yeah, but they don't know that there's professional people that are in place running this stuff. So the stuff that I run is pretty much all the development programs that I've learned to do in the past, and I give them the best, and that's the way it's going to be. And there's always the development program for kids that aren't going to make the top levels, but there's a development program because there has to be one. We can't just focus on elite players. There's a part where everyone plays. There's elite players because they're going here, and we have our development players because they're going here. So we have to have a place for them. That's the whole goal of the vision of Samoa basketball. That's
It's funny because he said how he said about Niue. When is FIBA going to come along?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about it, like New Zealand is, because if you look at the stats, I think there's more Niueans here in New Zealand than there are actually in Niue.
Yeah.
So you'd want to establish the Niuean Basketball Association here, build it to a point where if you had the right model, you went to FIBA, they'll either get. And I think the best thing is it's coming out of New Zealand, and that's why it's cool that now that you're the head of Basketball Samoa, you're closer to to FIBA here, and then once you implement this program and you take it to Samoa, man, I can just if you go around, when you drive around Savai'i and Upolu and that, you go past every Mamunga church, man, and there's a hoop there. Hey, you know what I mean? Hey,
there's a hoop there, so there's like go around and every local.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, if I stayed here, it'd be like the guy from the air up there.
Yeah.
So I was going to be driving past it, showing, boy, that guy, they're going to see someone dunk. that's because there's so many guys. I mean, there's so much talent in Samoa, right?
There's so much
natural athletes, man.
It's just, it's trying to get barriers over. And I think when Niue first started, I was quite happy for when Nigel first started. I was so proud of him because, bro, he's taken it and ran with it, and now he's got this in place for his people. And he's half, but he, I recognize him as a Niue brother, and he loves what he's doing for the community now, because now it's like, well, it's only going to grow bigger because people know that there's a New Zealand now. They just got to keep coming to you, and you got to get all these little kids growing up, and there's so many Niueans out there. It's not funny, So it's good to so hopefully I've helped them in that way. They can do that now. You can branch off and do other things, like cool. Now he's actually got an argument there. Well, why doesn't the program start in New Zealand? With their development, and that'll feed into whatever. Well, and hopefully FIBA don't hold the barriers of them, because what they'll come back and say, well, you're not born in Niue. I'm not sure if Niue is independent, are they?
No, they're still in New Zealand.
Oh, okay. So if they are, well, it should be fine then, because if they're born in New Zealand, born there, it makes things easier for them. So they don't have to jump over the barriers like Samoa. We got to jump. Well, you born in Samoa, you born in New Zealand, or you can't play. So I'm trying to get out of. I'm trying to. Well, I'm not sure what ever happened, but I'm trying to get that rule out. He goes, well, you should, if they're Samoan in their blood and they can prove it, they should be able to play.
Yeah.
That's how it should be, But they do that to limit us, so we're not developing more. So because they know that if I put a team together, we'll be smashing all the New Zealand squads, guarantee.
Oh, so you need a Samoan passport to play for Samoa?
Yeah, you have to. You got to do your passport before you're 16.
It's kind of sounds like it feels like they're scared that some team like Argentina is going to come up. Like the way. So who should be pushing for you should be New Zealand basketball, because all that, if we're developing. If I was head of New Zealand basketball, I'd want to be. I'd want your. I'd want your program to be successful, because then I'd be. Because if I knew that, okay, he's got a Samoan passport, but technically he's born in New Zealand, I'd be poaching your players straight away, because you're doing my job for me, because you're identifying, like, I've got a guy who's doing this job, but guess what? He didn't pick up these 3 other guys because I don't know, he's mates with their previous coach. But thank you, Sifo. I'm going to poach these. If I was in New Zealand, if I was in New Zealand basketball, I'd be, hey, I'll get FIBA to, what else do you want? Oh, I can't. You want to just, as long as they have Samoan parents who hold a Samoan passport, that So, as New Zealand, have you talked to anyone in New Zealand basketball like that?
Or? So our program's independent from this, guys, and not even Waitakere or basketball or anyone else or ABSL. So I made sure that I wasn't going to attach myself to them, just because I see what they've done in the past. You try to tag their name on everything and say, oh, we've done this. No, you guys have been around for so long and you guys have nothing for our people. And how long have you guys been around? There's so many people in Auckland. You guys have not come together and thought, well, there's a Polynesian community out there. Why don't we run something for them? No, you guys didn't. So no, too late. Now I've got it. It's for our people. So I'm like, stuff all of you guys. And they come to the tournaments. They're watching. They come into the tournament. They go, oh, that's cool. You come watch. These are all the kids that they play for you. But you forget, because you're not from their country. That's why. You're not from the guys, because there are people that are, singers and bailangis, and they're not from that country, Samoa. So, because you look at the board, PBNZ board, well, where's all the islanders? Now they're starting to talk about community stuff. You go, man, so now you guys want to talk about community stuff now? Man, look, we've got all the communities part of this program that we're trying to run. So it's quite sad that they're looking at it now. That it could have been there for my son when he was younger. you know, or even older kids, like the kids that are 25 now, 26, like the Charles Ebati, those guys. Nothing was like that around for them. They had to wait for a FIBA tournament. They goes, well, we don't have to wait for them. Who says we're going to wait for them for? We don't have to be affiliated to Basketball New Zealand. We're a community, we're trying to run stuff. Okay, and unfortunately it's basketball. That's all good.
Do you think New Zealand basketball dropped the ball on some of these? Because you know, like what's that? Yeah, okay, yeah, they did. Yeah.
They dropped the ball for the other side of the earth,
mate. but I'm just saying, like, because what's that tournament that's down in Tauranga? Those guys.
Hoop Nation.
Hoop Nation.
My mate runs that. Paul Beveridge.
Well, how many of these kind of competitions out there now that are not to do with New Zealand basketball? Like, you got Hoop Nation, you got your one.
Yeah.
Polynesian basketball.
And then there's
a few Wellington, no?
I don't know about Wellington. I'm not sure. I don't think they hold big. There's a Chinese tournament.
Oh, okay.
The Chinese one they have in Wellington sometimes.
Stephen Adams comes down and does his own one.
There's a 7-day Adventist tournament.
Yeah.
That's another one. There's what other tournament is there? Well, there's the Māori tournament. There's the Rotorua.
And how many teams? 50 something?
Nah, so the one in Rotorua. So I think it's like 200 plus.
See you just list all of these different competitions outside New Zealand basketball, and you can see how big their balls they drop down. Yeah. You can see, you know, that they're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
If they did things right, they wouldn't be, or they will help everyone.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's So it's just, unfortunately, it's like it's a power thing and money making thing for them too. Oh, cool, run this, run that. You know, the Breakers they're independent too, you know, and all these individual Auckland teams, like, you know, NBL teams, they're also independent owners, you know, because the team putting into their competitions. So it's quite good that they have them, and the coaches understand that too, because some of these coaches in there, they're just lost theirs. But in terms of development for our people in those competitions, it's good that they play in it, because in this Polynesian competition, there's about 7 NBL players that play for Samoa, which is great. It lifts the game up. You know, these are in. Oh, it's quite interesting when in the last 2 weeks we've had those NBL players come and play. You know, like Ana Haku and Dominic, Calvin Poto, Leo and Ryan Lomatea, all NBL players. You know, and they're coming training in this team, and all the young guys, all the young Samoans seeing, there's the guy who played in the NBL, this guy played for Auckland. So they're not far from it. You know, they're not far from this stuff. And even having, I'm the luxury of having Coach Tony Webster. You probably see Tony Webster on my posts. Yes, also he was my coach back in Harbour. He's the Corey Webster's and Ty Webster's father. So having him there is actually really good, because even hearing it from him, he's never coached Pacific Islands before. But man, he you know, after the first coaching session, he was like, "There's so much talent here. I can't believe it." You know, he sees these kids dunking on each other, and like, he doesn't see that over the shore. No, he coaches it up at Westlake. You know, he's like, they're aggressive, and he goes, "Well, this is the community we are in." He enjoys coming. He enjoys coming coaching every Saturday, and comes along, helps out, and he's like, "Man, these kids can, you know, some of these kids can play pro. You know, easy. They can go to the US and play." You know, even just hearing it from him, it was like, I was like, "Oh, that's good," because I didn't have to. I never gave him a CV on each of these kids. He just saw it himself. You know, who's this kid? Who's this? So I think he's trying to recruit for his whistling team. Something, hey, take him, man. If it's going to help these kids, take him. You know, because, you know, they need to be in an environment of professionalism, and unfortunately, some of these schools out here in our south, they don't have the right resources, they don't have the right coaches, they're limited in their resources to try and find, but having Coach Tony Webster there just to help out and be a mentor for some of these players, it's good, and treat them like professionals, you know, be on time, do this, there's certain things, make sure you're here on time, make sure you're doing this, running systems, running plays, and having him, and just the kids just like, it's motivating to come, and then these NBL players there too, just makes it even more. And there are people, you know. So it's pretty cool watching that. you're sitting there with my coffee with the other Koingas and president, sort of laughing and looking over, oh, you're laughing, and see one of the kids go up and just dunk on the other kids, like, man, this, yeah, so no, it's very cool, yeah.
You know, going back to Samoan basketball and FIBA, what's that relationship like at the moment? Like, or how does it work with FIBA and the you know, countries like Tonga, Samoa?
So FIBA, they obviously run all the competitions and all the rules come under them, regulations come under them. So they try and help all the countries out. So if there's a tournament in Samoa, I think FIBA will come up with like, I don't know, 50k or something like that just to support them somehow, supply referees or whatever, and all the other countries come along and obviously join the competition. So they are an organisation that run competitions around the Pacific. Yeah, Oceania is what they're after. Now, obviously, they're on Asia now, sort of Asia competition. So they're just like, so that's, but the relationship between them and Samoa, I'm not sure the relationship. But obviously, because Samoa has the facilities, well, some of the facilities, that the South Pacific Games are meant to go around to all the countries. So it's meant to be the Solomon Islands, the next one. But I don't know, there's like an internal war over there or something. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But, you know, the Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands said, oh, yeah, it's going to happen in 3 days. And then after that, when he said that, and when the camera went off, the Kulepa goes, oh, if they can't do it, we'll do it.
He's done that before, right? He took it off Tonga, right?
He took it off Tonga, yeah, because the Tonga couldn't provide anything, and I was thinking to myself, I heard they were building the facilities, but then, I don't know what's up with that, I don't know. And Tonga seemed to be displacement around any other sport apart from league. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah, my mate coached the Tongan team, Sione Ma'ama. And and basketball should be big for them, but they see, I think the two pinnacles are Steve Adams, but he never went through the program anyway. They try to get him to go, bro, good luck getting him. You'll never get him. You'll never get him.
Yeah.
And Isaac Fotu and Marcus Salabati. And so those are probably those couple of, there's other guys there. They're trying to get them, recruit them, but it's just real bad there. Still, it's, you know, just by hearing from one of the guys, it's corrupt. They had a 50-year-old man playing at the games against Samoa, and he was in the team. I was like, oh, this is uncle's cousin that came and filmed this. Oh, because he wanted at least one Samoan player one Tongan player from Tonga. Like, so it's the old Koinga coming out of the corner. It's like, suddenly.
Speaking of Stephen Adams, like if he wanted to stick to New Zealand basketball again, that's the best team to go to. Join Tonga, you know, if you really want to stick to New Zealand again.
He'll, you know, I think, you know, if he does, I don't know, in the play for, goes and plays for Tonga or all that kind of stuff, he'll draw a lot of attention, and a lot of kids will try their best to try and play for Tonga, just because he's there. And but at the same time, there's a lot of corruption. A lot of people just want money.
Yeah.
And I understand they try to live, you know, try to make $1. But at the same time, they have no interest in, and they should be basketball minded, and that's what they need to be. Yeah, not just I want to make $1 off these kids and stuff like that. No, be basketball minded. At the end of the day, it's a service that you're doing for them. You know. Yeah.
It's funny, you know, we're talking about how Kulepa seems to love taking South Pacific. You know, if we anything about that man, it's about he knows how to make that, you know, make that money. So I guess South Pacific Games must be good for the Samoan economy. So
yeah,
you know, I wonder how much we make on it, because I know we're gonna have to invest in upgrading the facilities. You know, he relies a lot. If you remember the last time, I think I went just after one of the other South Pacific Games, and there was a big thank you to all the Samoan people for volunteering, and, you know, I mean, technically if you had to pay them, so you know.
Yeah, so when I was there, the big sponsor was the Samoan Commercial Bank. It was funny because one of my mates one of my college mates, Junior, he's actually married to the guy that owns its daughter. So I was thinking, oh man, yeah, that's me, man. Because he runs his own gym there, 2 gyms in Samoa. JP's gym, JP's bar.
Yeah,
that's his.
Oh.
That's
Yeah.
Like, so this tricky guy. So anyway, he also runs Samoa Tech. He's a CEO for Samoa Tech. That's who he is. So it's funny because he was talking to. So he told me the nuts and bolts about the whole tournament and basketball because I asked him about basketball. So China invested a lot of money. That's where they've got the hoops and stuff like that and the claws and FIBA only gave like 50 grand for that tournament. But the rest was so that's why they attached these 2 coaches, so they're senior coaches to our team. Like, oh, okay, cool. So how are the coaches that? First of all, that one speaks full Chinese, no English. The other guy, he's a translator. He speaks Chinese and English, and then you get our Samoan kids, boys. So how's he translating the plays? Like, so I was like, I don't know. It was a mess, man. I was thinking, bro, they were good coaches, guaranteed. But I came in last minute to help out. And the boys understood me when I spoke to me about these systems. And the coach knew that when he saw Drew, we have to work around this player. They automatically, because they coach professionally in China. Yeah. So, and they wanted to go home, but if they do go home, it's an embarrassment to their family. So they had to stay there. So Samoa, imagine what Kulepa did to the other teams. So we must have lost maybe 20% of our fishing area to China. Or something like that. Yeah. That's because of that tournament. People went, we'll give you this if you give us this. Yeah. Well, this.
The crazy thing is, like, they assigned you these 2 Chinese coaches. But if you go to Samoa, there's how many singers walking around there that speak Samoan. You thought they would have just gone to one of the hotels or the banks and go, you can just grab us one of those guys and they come translate for us.
Yeah. So it's it was quite interesting.
Crazy story, that one.
Yeah, I was sat there. I was like, because I argued with the coach, Steve. I was actually gonna. So when I was coaching them, and I was like, because we're half an hour late, he went to go pick them up. The training was meant to start at 5 o'clock. They didn't get to like 5:35, so we started training anyway. And I taught them a quick play, and then hey, come stop! What you doing? Listen to the coaches. And I'm thinking, well, why'd you stop training for? Oh, you're not the coach. They're coaching the team. Oh, okay, cool. So when they actually came to the games, those 2 guys they were coaching, they weren't allowed on the court.
Oh, why?
Because that's exactly what I was telling Steve. So they running the coaching session, but they can't coach on the day that we're. So I don't.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
You see what I mean?
They weren't actually representatives from Samoa.
No, so they went the coach says, so they're making you look good.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was stupid.
Well, you should have taught them sign language.
So the coaches were surprised too. They came and they were like, cool, good luck at the game. I was like, you guys, no, we're not gonna. Bro, that's so sad. But that's how those big countries see these Samoans think, our development program's not good. Can you give us $500,000? That's why they probably provided these 2 coaches, because someone must have given them a spiel that we don't have resources. Well, they got good coaches. They got us guys like us to come help out. But it's like, but you don't come with $500,000. Yeah, I know. I singers do.
Yeah.
And we lost 15% of our fishing.
Well, at some point, because of the role you have now, you'll probably you'll have to go back to Samoa because they're going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see you shaking hands with Kulepa on Samoan Observer. Or?
It's funny because he's actually my uncle.
Yeah.
He's my uncle. So we were from the same village. He has the same title as me, Ayongo. He has the Ayongo title in Fasco. But I always just tease him because my dad always goes to me, oh, he's and even at the meetings, like I caught up with him I literally sat at during when they had when everyone eats at the one big place and during the games and stuff like that, with all the teams, everyone sat at the table and I sat next to him. Oh, he didn't recognize. He thought I was because he spoke at my father's funeral and stuff like that. And then I talked to him. He thought I was the grandson of. And he goes, no, I'm the son. He goes, oh, you're young. Yeah, I'm the youngest son. So it was quite interesting. We talked about basketball. And he goes, oh, so are you doing the basketball? Yeah. Oh, so he wanted me to come back and help run the basketball stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So awesome. He didn't know that. I was the first call boy helping out from New Zealand. The program. He goes, well, yeah, I'm just helping out from all the way from New Zealand. But my father said that he's a very smart man. He's an accountant. He studied here in New Zealand as an accountant, and then went over there and went back to Samoa. So there's a bit of history from him. So, and what he does, he gets gifts. He's gifted from countries, because but there's also a bit of a sacrifice that he has to give up. Oh, we'll take 30 of your people every year to come in our country. If you give me $50 million or something like that to help develop. Yeah, so that's how we. But I think without that development that he has done for Samoa, I don't think Samoa will be where it is now. It will still be stuck with like Tonga, to be honest. Yeah, because and we won't be developing. We'll be left behind the rest of the world. Yeah, and we have to wait for everyone else to pick up the pieces and complain and yeah. So I think right now Samoa's did pretty good but the only thing is, we are losing ourselves because there's no exports going out. There's not enough to create money for Samoa. Yeah, if there is, it'll be good, but there's not enough. Yeah.
Was that partly because of COVID though? Like we're unable to do anything? Or was it even before that?
Before that?
Yeah.
I think there wasn't just enough resources coming in and not enough stuff going out to feed back into and using our own money instead of going into these things and asking for money from other Singapore.
Well, because you talked about was it New Caledonia where they get the silver in it? If Samoa had those kind of resources, like natural minerals that we could have, is there, like you're talking about us exporting, is there anything that's untapped? Do you think that Samoa could?
I think there's
something in Samoa because I know there's, it's funny because I'm saying it's funny all the time, but during the holidays, me and my dad, like he'd come in the lounge and he'd sit and he'd ask me, "Can you play?" Because the beauty of YouTube though is it's got all this old. New Zealand Archives got like videos, movies from 1940s in there, and I played him. I think it was like in 1950, Samoa 1950. And they showed them making koko, and then my dad, was telling me, "Oh, we used to do this and all that." And I was thinking, how come Samoa, everyone knows how to, do koko and then Samoa. How come Samoa isn't, because isn't that something
so
that
koko is, I think Whitaker, they access.
I know there's that that chocolate, eh?
Yeah. They access they go Brazil, but I think they are importing from
Samoa.
From Samoa, yeah. But and again, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough.
We just got to try and fight. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the fight is like
Yeah, that's right. Galo and all that stuff. But I mean, I wonder if we could. If there's got to be something there, eh? No, I'm just trying to brainstorm them. If we come up with we'll delete it from the video. And then we'll go back in the year's time. We'll be running. We'll be all shaking Quilepo's hands on this.
All the friends.
But now I was just trying to. I was just thinking that because I know, man, I can see the passion you have for Samoa.
Yeah.
And you're right though. Samoa. I think it's a. When I was over in Samoa, my family would say, "Well, you don't know, because okay, man, Quilepo," and they'll go, "No, we live here, we know what he's like. You don't know what he's done. You're outside looking in, and it's kind of funny because me and this guy, we always talk about the media, and the way they can misconstrue the game.
Yeah. So he's a good man.
Yeah, I heard that too.
He's a good man. Yeah. He's not a bad person.
Yeah.
People think, he made this decision. Yeah, you guys are looking from that. You guys don't know what's
Yeah.
going on over there, man.
That's
And
what
that's
I mean.
why he does things.
So, you know, and it's quite funny because I would say something to them and they would be like, you know, get a lost him out. And I went, oh, okay. And it's, you know, you guys, and it's kind of like, it would be like my brother coming back from Australia and go, mate, you guys are doing this and this. And I'm like, hey, you don't live here. You know, this is in New Zealand. I live here. I know what's going on here.
Yep.
You know, I got my finger on the pulse around here. You know,
That time when I stayed in Samoa,
yeah,
like there was no any bad thing coming out from anyone, you know.
yeah.
So,
See,
like
Yeah.
the news, it's different.
Yeah.
Come back to New Zealand and there's all this news about him being bad.
Yeah.
Away,
Precisely.
but
What are you?
then when I was there was no complaints, no nothing.
Yeah.
And people saying, oh no, he's good.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Well,
But there are people that said no, he's not
Yeah,
good. But
yeah.
there was no like it's not like loud. It
Not a
wasn't loud.
protest or anything.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
nothing like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's just every day. Like,
I guess it's a kind of a reflection of Samoa as a people. There, we kind of like just go with the flow, kind of.
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
unless it's taking people around the back, like in Colombia or something. You know, they were like, hey.
I know there's
But he's-
the common people,
Yep.
and they're trying to survive. All the politicians are trying to do all this other stuff inside. And I remember one time when I was there, and there was I don't know if you remember the finance manager, Koi, and he hired that guy to assassinate one of the other guys.
Yes, I remember that.
Well, that guy there. So it was quite sad. So yeah, that was like, wow, assassination. It was just from a rifle, from a fire rifle. You shoot the plotters off and stuff like that. Quite interesting. Yeah, quite interesting. There was a lot of money, man. A lot of money and stuff like that.
Well, that's what money can do, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
well, it's funny. I gotta stop saying that. Camps, because when I went over to see Camps, when he was staying over there, you know, he looked like, I was like, so this is the life, you know? Because you think, you know, like you're saying, there's the common people, but there's people professional people over there too. You know, this guy's going over doing. If they're doing this architecture, and I'd message him, where are you? I'm just about to go to the office. It's quarter, and I'm like, so what's the time there? Oh, it's 9:45. I'm like, boy. No, he'd be like, no, that's how it is here, you know, and you know, I never heard him complain about anything Samoan.
Yeah.
Bro, when I got there, the first thing we went to was that waterfront bar, and I remember looking around. I was like, man, Samoa. There's a vibe here, eh?
Yeah.
if anything, when I started working there, like I had to like calm down, like get used to the. It's not like working here. When it's hard out 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta just relax.
Yeah.
It took me a while to relax, like not relax, but just go in their pace.
Yeah.
Because their pace is much slower, and like, but it's normal.
Yeah.
And it's like, and sometimes you can't be frustrated because that's how it is.
Yeah.
You know?
My dad was but it was funny. He was totally opposite. He was like, he knew that obviously came from a poor family, but high ranking titles in Samoa. But he used to work at the freezing works in Ashburton, with all the bovies and slaughterhouse. That was his history, and he came back and then he learned all these skills and taught them back to run our bovi now. And we slaughter cattle, we sell them off to like Whamajo or Frankie's or some other places like that where they have their beef. So we went back into our village and taught all the nephews and just changed their mindset of how to work. If you want kupe, this is how you do. Because I was so relaxed. I was like, that's right, yeah. Whao and let the vau grow 3 meters high and not doing it in the winter. No, he changed that. Changed that. And he came across like, as the angry uncle, but at the same time, when it came to Whaasamoa stuff, he was really strong at it because he made sure that all of that stuff was done and the village saw him. Wow, that was him every day. Boom, boom. Pull like, so that was my calling. Bro, it took me about almost 4 days. We pulled about 5 kilometers of barbed wire and 1, 2, 3 across, and we sealed our whole area. And the whangua, where there are prisoners now?
Yeah.
So that's all our whangua. It's all for cycle whangua. So all the whangua in front is all ours. So that's why he wanted to build this so cool. This was, build everything. Sorry. That's why the council of my father. So my sister looks after all their land now. The one that's all in front, Lilumba. And it was quite interesting just seeing his mentality. And you see there's a few others that but lax. But if you want, like in the village that we live in, very poor, no money, you know. The only couple that's coming is from outside. So my dad said, hey, you all could be here. Hello, so go. So you get all the cousins opportunities to do that. Grow your stuff. Because all of his siblings, all my dad's siblings, were born in Samoa. And the only way they were getting out was giving away land. So my dad went back and got all the land back. You know, their land back comes back to us. Their land comes back to the family. So he's brought the family name back up there again. And so there is the relaxation of not being chilled out about stuff heavy, but at the same time, you most covered useless at doing any work and stuff. So yeah, you're right. It goes around. But my dad was a hard man, bro. Like, guy was ruthless. You just pull out the 38, boom, just unloaded it like that. I was like, he was like that, man. Yeah. He was a ruthless old man. Yeah. Anyway, Samoa history.
Man, there's it's all those people that used to come and work at those freezing works, you know, down in Ashburton, and then there was the other lot of people that went down to Tokoroa to do all the forestry, and you know,
my father was in there too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. With Peter Mavea. Yeah. Rock's grandfather.
Yeah.
New Zealand. Yeah. They worked together down there. Yeah.
So
I think 4 years, 3 years. Yeah.
And it's happening. It's kind of happening now when they're getting all these seasonal workers to come in.
Yeah. Are they still coming? Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. They sent another 200.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all getting ready to come in.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Well, it's because people, when if you listen to Mike Hoskin and they go give it to those other people who don't have jobs or they're sitting on, well technically they want to have to work as well, and these people don't want, they were trying to say, these flight attendants that have lost their job, go pick apples or go start picking fruit. Come on, man, you can't ask that of people,
Yeah, it's almost degrading to me.
Exactly.
They work hard all their life. They get all their stuff taken away from them.
And you want, go pick, that. And I think another thing is that they know that these people that come from Samoa, they're going to work hard.
Yeah.
Because like you said, even though there's the relaxed thing, if you go to those people with Ngufo, choir and that, mate, those guys.
We've got to go do Ronnie Styles,
Yeah.
The people.
Yeah, you don't be like the guy from Take Home Pay.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So he was an MC for Auckland.
Yeah.
Auckland's cracker, yeah. That's cracker, yeah. Yeah, but you're right. They have a stronger need to help their ainga out in Samoa.
Exactly. Like when you have a purpose, hey, and that's these guys. Like my cousin, he came in the first lot of seasonal workers. So he's been here 3 times, and then on the third one, he's working at the freezing works. You know what I mean? So he's just progressed. Like they've noticed, like, okay, this guy's good, and he's the first 2 times he came.
He must have a good permanent visa then.
Yeah. So he's, man. You know what? So he came up during Easter last year, just before COVID and all that stuff, and he was just saying, like, the first lot of people that came, they got all the guys that weren't working or taking advantage of it, they got weeded out. So now the lot that are coming through now, they're the ones that have been here before on a couple of tours, and now they're the ones that are giving the seasonal workers and all the Samoans good names down at these places, because they're the guys that turn up to work, and they're the ones who work hard. And
oh, that's good. And those are normally the kids from the outside of Pia villages. See, they're the ones, they're masangi to go Kai Popo and do the umu kaiao and do the every day in, day out. Now they're cool, they're masangi to a day. So it's not anything different, just different, obviously, area, different platform. You've got to pick through instead, not as hard, Samoa life is very hard.
How long were you in? So Samoa. Did your dad take you and the rest of the family back to Samoa?
No, just me.
Yeah.
Okay. The rest of the state,
yeah.
So I'm his namesake, so I was named after him and stuff like that. So he took me over there just to test that out and see how it goes.
So how old were you when you went?
Shucks, I was I must have been like 15, 16. Yeah. So it was good experience for me.
What were you expecting when you first went?
Oh, I was like, oh, hey, that'd be cool. Sweet, wear my jeans. Nah, don't wear jeans. Yeah, yeah, cool. My Levi's. Yeah. Oh, nah, this is not cool. That's too hot, man. So yeah, and it was just good, just being around. Still had the passion for basketball. Still played around this, but then and still knew that a community because my cousin were Mormons, so they took me down to the Besenga because we stayed in Bayusu, and just further down the road was Besenga, so we played out there most mornings. Wednesday, like 5 o'clock, something ridiculous, and Friday 5 o'clock early in the mornings, and then then come back, and then we'll be off to the Barbovi in 6 in the morning to go Yuka and Kaka the papa up there and Costa the Bar, and so. Good experience. I left my son there actually, 2011. He was 9, Drew. I said, Dad, so when I was playing for Samoa, we were heading out to New Caledonia. So the Samoan government, they got Emirates, the massive planes, like the ones that are like, they could fit like 200 people in there. Yeah, massive ones. So all the Samoan teams were in that plane. Yeah, it was huge. I've never been. I was like, wow, this is massive. Like you're sitting in a row, and there's like this row, and there's like 5 other rows over here on the side. It's huge. I can't believe how big it was, man. Like, you go to a normal New Zealand one, there's probably the ones that fly to LA, there's like middle aisle, which is like 4 seats, and then there's the side aisles, there's 3, and there's side 3. Yeah. The Emirates solely, it was like, there was like, must have been like 5 rows, like, so it was huge. So we went on a plane anyway, but I left my son there, my dad, he was 9 years old. I still got photos of him. My son was young, just going out there and just like, oh, son, you gonna be alright? Yeah. You go in there, he wanted to come with me, but he was 9 years old, like, Drew. Like, oh, no, you'll be right. Yeah. So my dad made sure he ate it all the time, and his favourite food was, he called it pig buns. Pig buns. So that was his favourite every morning. And took a new yuka and gave him a sapelu. And I still got the video too. My one of the cousins videoed him, and they go Sasa the Val, and he probably forgot to tell him what the Val looks like. Just all these kipulas, all the colonies are slaughtering, and all the cousins, no, and my dad goes, just leave him, it's alright, he's happy with his colonies. All the colors is silly, it's not my dad. So it was a good experience for my son to experience that, and every time I go back, my dad makes me do something there, like paint the roof of their house, or paint the outside, or build them a stick. So the last time I was there, he got me to build as I was leaving. The day I was leaving at 7 o'clock, and it was like, must have been like 12 in the midday, and he goes, oh son, I'll say rent, but like, why don't we wheelchair? I was looking at the time, only about flats. So I was like, oh yeah, school, it's got the materials. So we literally built him a ramp. Like, so now it's for him, it's like, oh, when he goes around the house, it's a fair long, I think, for him. Like, oh, my son did something for me, for the funny and stuff like that. Yeah, okay. For him. So he's gone now, he passed away. But yeah, still with his memories. Now my sister looks after everything in Samoa.
Hey, did you guys read the news about they're not giving
Makai titles
if you're not living in Samoa?
Yeah, not living in Samoa, yeah. Those Makai titles are different. They're not, pretty lucky they're not doing that. So they used to do that here. They used to give out titles in New Zealand back in the mid-90s. Yeah, but now they stopped that. And now all the title offers have to be done in Samoa. So when I got mine done there, my aiongo done, I got done before my mother passed away. Yeah, that was good. So that was an elite title, aiongo kora kopai. But now I saw that my sister showed it to me, which is right, because it's looking after the village. And so my sister holds a Sa'o name for our family. So she looks after, she's the hierarchy of that side in Samoa. Yeah, I think it's good. But also it's hard because that name, financially, you have to support a lot of things. And yeah, that sort of cuts off a lot of stuff with the villages that want to have self-ice, but they can't.
I think that law makes sense. How about you guys?
Yeah.
Well,
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, because I don't really fully understand. I didn't understand it initially until my dad explained it to me, and then once I heard it from my dad, he could see where they were coming from as well. So I'm kind of like, okay, whatever you say.
Yeah.
Because I can try and show my Fia Poko Palangi side and New Zealand side and go, yeah, but I mean, and he's like this,
Yeah.
Okay.
It does get real technical because now that villagers can't make money, they can't have their softwares, they can't collect 40k, after every software within a day. So that doesn't help the village itself.
Yeah. So how do you guys know why that law came about? Why they
I don't
changed
know.
it?
I don't know. I don't know why. I didn't look into it too much. Let's stop with that. I didn't look into it too much, but yeah.
Because that's my dad's daily routine. Is he watches Parliament and so because they stream it live. So either so he'll tell me before I leave to work. Don't forget to turn on that thing, and I'm turning on. And I've watched it with him a few times.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I like watching. I like people watching. And you see everyone just like doing their own little thing. And someone's eating this, and we see here that, and like this. Oh man, just to be in some. I just feel like, man, I wish I was in Samoa right now.
Yeah, because they're just. Yeah, you're right. Everyone just doing their thing. It's funny. And in Parliament, it's the same as here too. Yeah. Everyone's arguing. Everyone's right. Like, one time he was arguing with the other guy.
Yeah, I saw the video of that, and he was telling him to sit down. It's beautiful though. Oh, the Parliament, how
the chairman. That's my uncle Afoa.
Oh, okay.
Afoa Fafisi. Yeah, so he's the chair guy. The chair. He's cool, man.
Well, it would be so cool to be in Samoa now because the Fast Party. It's Fast Day.
Yeah. Oh, is it odd?
Yeah, that's the name of it. Like they're really they're the first for the last 10, 15 years that I've kind of been aware of Samoan politics. It's always been Koilepa, his party is always they've dominated, but these guys are kind of like
coming up.
Yeah, they're coming up and they're quite vocal. I think the thing about them is they're using every avenue that they can. Like you can see they're using social media.
Yeah.
I saw them. They had to take one of their posters down because it was in front of the Faith L's house or something.
Oh, true.
Yeah, and they were like, "We're going to take it down because it's causing conflict." Because people are like, they were kind of saying, "Well, you're trying to align yourself with the," because when it comes to villages, the Faith L and all those.
Yeah. Trying to get into that. Yeah.
And so once you start mixing, when you start mixing religion and politics, people start getting a bit iffy. So I know, I think a couple of days ago they had to take down one of their billboards. That's the out of it. They had a billboard in front of the, I think it was the church or the Faith L's house, and it had all the people in the party, the members of the party.
True.
Yeah. So it'll be funny. One day we've got to get one of the people. One of the Renate. She's the new editor,
Observer.
at Samoan Observer.
Yeah, I saw her tweet.
Yeah, so it'll be cool because she was, she's quite a personality and she's very vocal. And I used to read her tweets because this is where I used to get the balance from, because Samoa Observer or someone would be saying stuff about Kuilepa, people on Facebook, and she would be, because she was working for the government at that time, and she'd be countering it with facts.
Yeah.
So then I would know, man, it's funny. Media is the same everywhere.
Yeah.
People,
because it's their home.
Exactly.
They're missing.
Cool your jets. Yeah, and that's why I loved reading Renata. She's really insightful. If you read her tweets or all her Facebook posts and articles she's written, that's where I was like, okay, stop listening to people. When people have rants or people writing little. Samoa Observer, they've had a few articles come out about about Kuilepa, and it's kind of funny now that Renata is there. It's kind of like, okay, then there's going to be some kind of balance now, because
she will be the balance.
You know what I mean, because it's not as far left or far whatever reaching leaning they are.
Yeah.
Now you've got another person that's actually worked.
Yeah. Because it's sad that everyone's like, oh, you're doing this, but they don't know why he's doing it. As well, you know, how come you do this? You're taking this away from these people. Yeah, but the reason why, there's so much behind it.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff behind it. Like they were trying to get one time I think they were trying to get a kupe from where the airport is, because the airport was actually I forgot the name of the village that's there. So it was all their land and stuff like that, but it was the war that happened. So the government benefited from that because they claimed all of that stuff from the war. Yeah, they claimed our land from the war too, and all villages too. So it's quite interesting, and people are trying to get it back now, trying to get it back. So yeah, it's there's a lot of like, get your facts right first.
Yeah. Well, it's the other thing is, people probably listening to us like, man, this is a propaganda party for people. And the thing is, we're not, because we've talked openly about him too. You know, about, you know, man, what about the things he's done? But the one thing we've always talked about when we started this podcast was trying to find balance. Like, you know, not like, we're not going to talk, you know, we'll have our opinions, but as long as we'll still have to have the facts as well.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you've come with, because you know, you've met him personally. That's your uncle and all that. So you've got your side too. And if it's funny, we had Michael Field on a couple episodes ago.
Oh, true.
He wasn't a Kuilepa fan himself. So, you know, that's the balance, people, just in case you're listening like, these guys, they must be anti-fast, or they're on the books as well. But it's nothing about that. It's about when you have a passion for something, and just like we have a passion for Samoa, you want to know that it's being told right. Eh?
Yeah. He's definitely a man that has to. There's a lot of pressure on him, you know, and he's getting old, and so he's trying to run a country that has no money. So, you know, how are they going to keep up the rest of the world if they have nothing, and everyone expects things to happen right away? Yeah, but with what? How are we going to get this stuff? How are we going to, you know, obviously he's got to make some sort of sacrifice somewhere. And people are like, how come you give all this to the singers? How come you give this? Well, you know, we want new roads. Where's the money? Where's this money coming from? They're going to come up. So I think common people don't understand it, and I see that, like, okay. And when my dad told me that, he shakes hands with all these wealthy people, and obviously they want something from Samoa. So I was well, you know, if that's the way to develop, we just stay behind, and we stay in the ancient times, and we don't do anything like that. And yeah, so I guess, I mean, there's not enough money that these seasonal workers are going to get back to Samoa ever. Unless it's millions and millions of dollars. But nah, man.
If anything, they're helping out the local community down there. I know there's some dodgy stuff happening down there as well, and you know they are helping out their the local economy, because they're buying food from there. They're investing in. So. Well, it's good, you know. See, they're serving two people. You know, they're sending the money back to Samoa, and they're buying all the meat from the local. The locals in that. So
they're probably having kids on there too.
No, I just want to see.
Because go back in 2 months. Expect a baby after that.
You know, Samoa, like the hospitality scene over there. Like I've been watching my stories from my cousins that live there. They always go out and stuff to all the resorts and places like that. Man, it's like heaps of new stuff coming out. Like I'm watching their stories and all this fancy stuff at the beaches and nice bars and restaurants and cafes, heaps. I was thinking, man, these guys are gearing up for the borders to open back up when tourists will be coming.
Also Good on me.
Well, the other thing about Samoa is we've always managed to just have fun, but you know, people in Samoa, they've managed to have fun by themselves. You know, the tourists. Really, how many of them really go out and party? Some just love to party, you know, by themselves in that. Because my cousin, he's part of a band over there, like him and two of the other boys, and every week he's putting up. He's either at what's that, Tomasina, or he's doing some. It looks like a house party, you know. He's at someone's pool, and I'm like, here I am in Samoa. I mean, you said I'm King Ainga, like, struggling to buy a box here, and this guy's got to buy lima on tap.
I see that. Yeah, because my sister's there too, I see her stories and stuff like that. she works for the British High Commission. So she works there, and they've got a new. And I see with me, she says, suddenly, this are like. Where's the bisupo? Where's the sorry, not the bisupo, the valaika pisi with the ringi. Man, she's gonna having nice food.
For the British High Commission, they must
money.
Be the credit card, scones and tea.
Yeah.
And
She's the finance person.
Oh, okay.
The finance, so she runs all the finances for, I think, 4 of the islands that are around, like Fiji. Who was the other ones? There's a couple there. So she was telling me that. So she's quite up there now. And that's good because she speaks good English. She was with Avondale College, and she, her Samoa's, really good too. And when she sent me all these videos and stuff. And then she's also with the. It's funny because I was listening to the song, the cowboy song, the Mr. Cowboy.
Yeah.
The next minute she's dating the Mr. Cowboy. Yeah, she's Mr. Cowboy. I don't listen to that song anymore.
What's his name? Sam.
Sam.
Yeah.
Cheng Shang or something? Yeah. Oh,
Sam Randy Travis.
So when I was getting my hair done, when I finished it, he actually video called me and was talking to me on the phone. I was like, oh, so who's Sonny? Oh, hey, yours. Like, oh, yeah. I was just chatting with them and stuff like that, and my sister gave me the phone and was like, oh. I heard his music now.
You got your bit done recently, yeah?
Yeah, just recently.
Nice.
Yeah. It was because of my father when he got his done. I was meant to get a card before he passed away. So that's my dad when he was young. That's my father when he was young. Oh, yeah, he was about my heights and stuff. Yeah. Rufus boxer out of Polo's gym. Oh. Yeah, his he boxed with what you call it. Monty's father. Yeah. So his father, they all came from the same gym in Samoa.
My dad knew him. He was from around my dad's way in Savati.
Oh, true.
Yeah. So when he came over, he caught up with him over here as well.
Yeah, so
my dad would talk about, come on, Monty there.
Monty.
My saying, nah, we used to, we grew up together. But okay.
Yeah. Those guys they used to fight out of the gyms and stuff. Oh, good fighters, man.
Yeah. Because before Monty was, was Tuna Scanlon around the same time as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I went down to ABA down at Eden Terrace, and you see all these old Samoa, like these photos of the, Monty Python, and you see Tuna Scanlon, and you forget, and you remember how that big migration of all the Samoans coming over, and how, boxing. That's Samoa's blood.
There's the fusul under the bungles and stuff like that.
That's right. School, yeah. And then now when you come in, you give them gloves or a chance for them to be, have a better shine. Yeah. So my dad used to say, once you and Tuna and that, they weren't even the best. I mean, like there were people better, but they're the other ones that are going to have fusuanga outside the bars and that. Yeah. But Tuna and that were. It must have been like your dad. They were disciplined enough.
When he came here, my dad came over as obviously a freezing worker and stuff like that, and then came out to Auckland, and he was actually like the barman and security at this bar called Stark in the city. Karen, your dad probably knows that, but so he used to tell me, he used to just bring you all the meunglis out there, just to fussy them out and chuck them out. But my father, he grew up like that, the heavy drinker. And the heavy hand, so I grew up getting hikings and stuff like that too, and I just remember. But now that he got older, he's sort of calmed down a bit more and just looking back at the stresses that he had was going to come into trying to provide for his kids in New Zealand and stuff like that. And I understood. My sister didn't grow up around there because she's like 10 years younger than me, so she grew up at the good times. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now we grew up at the tough time because he was trying to find his way in New Zealand, trying to find it. And even though he was in Mackay and stuff like that, he still had to go out there and provide for his family, go out there and work the low labouring jobs and stuff like that to put food on the table. So that's I saw him that way. At the end of it, he became a high respected orator in Samoa and New Zealand. So that was cool for me. So for me to get this bit done was like, was to honour him. And then my wife got hers, Manu and my daughter too. So to honour them in Mackay Tunnel. So that was cool. So just working like it's like, hey, shee. Yeah, no. So, yeah.
But you can see why it's such a, to get it, and it's because they always say it's the journey, eh? Like when you start, by the time when you finish, when they get that egg, when they cut that, your body and your body, because you've got to have some kind of mental fortitude to get through that, because
you're right. It was like the first session was like trying to get my mind around it. So the next day, I know I'm gonna beat this now mentally. So I just thought of like the hardest thing I was doing on the basketball court, which was running the suicides, running it as hard as I can. So that's what I thought. So in timing the tapping of the arm, that was when he tapped it, like, okay, cool. Then go run out in probably the next 6 seconds. He had to get back. That's my break. Yeah, cool. See. So it was like that. It was like that. So the mind plays games with you every now and then. I sussed it out, and then after that, it got better because I was sick when I got it done. I was actually mate. So before I got it done, on the Saturday, and I was getting started on the Monday. On Saturday, I had a fever. Suddenly, I was like, and I went into it with the fever. So I was every Monday all the way till like Thursday that week when I was getting card. I was sweating every night, like full had cold showers, and then and now I got better because I started drinking the my auntie made some. Oh, sorry, Juliet made some. My wife made some like medicine stuff like honey and stuff like that, just to get out of the fever. So it worked sweet, so I got better every week, and then the mind's just separated from the gingo, and then just get the gingo, and then So it was like someone was knocking on their back door, and you're standing there. You can't hear it directly. That's what I felt like. Yeah, so you can hear the owl, but the pain wasn't directing to because the mind sorted it out. So that's what it was. I was like, suddenly, okay, I'm good now.
I'm in the zone now.
Yeah, in the zone now. In the zone, in the happy place. So yeah. No, it was an interesting journey. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about remaking that photo of your dad? The one you just showed us?
So there's a photo at home of him, but he's an older.
But I mean, of you doing it as well.
Probably, yeah. Most probably. This photo was taken. It was a professional photo done.
Well, I can tell.
Yeah.
Because the lighting there's great lighting there.
It wasn't.
And I'm pretty sure there wasn't an iPhone 12 that was taken.
Look at the mustache. That's the old mustache, man. So this was done 1993 in the studio in Pemure, because we're all part of the Whakasa church in Pemure. So he was a high orator. He was a kula whale of the local. So it was funny. He spent so much money on it. I remember it was like back then. It was like maybe $180 back then, 1993, and then we were downstairs and they had all these curtains and stuff and doing these photos. I'm like, far out. Shit, this must be expensive. Man. Look at it now. I was like, this is a cool photo, man. Yeah. So I took a photo. It was actually my sister actually got the actual photo of it, of him and stuff like that. And then when I took a snapshot of this, I was looking at it. Wow, this is a good photo because you can't get these photos. All the Morleys like this in your face. That's cool. Yeah.
So where did you get it, God? Who?
Kulainga did mine. Kulainga Mariko. So he's good. He's good. This is his 20th year. He's been going for. Real traditional guy, Catholic man. Real faith based. I think they're going in Wellington right now. They were in Christchurch about 2 weeks ago. I think they're in Wellington right now. But he's based in Ormiston, out towards Manukau Heights. So yeah, he's really good. Very very quiet man. Just gets on with his ngaruenga, does it. Very respectful. And I was actually glad to get done 7 days. Yeah. Now my friend's getting his. One of my close friends, my wife's cousin, he started his today. She's Leah Favor, I think. Yeah. Leah Favor is his name. Out in Te Aratu South. Yeah, he's going off there. So we're at his house today. And he's a quick young fella too. Looks younger than me. Oh, wow.
One of my friends, he just completed his on the weekend, so
Oh yeah,
congratulations, Charlie Tavanga. I only just got the photos.
Oh,
I just saw the photos, so yeah, and that was awesome to see that, because he'd done the Anganuk classes. There were a couple of years ago, the one that Kangwai was running.
Oh yeah.
And I remember him and a friend
Oh,
of mine,
was
Tanner, and that.
Oh yeah.
So they went through that, and I remember them coming out of it and like having a whole new, a greater appreciation, and just realizing how wonderful, how awesome Samoa is, and all those being able to do the launga and all those.
Oh yeah. Being able to.
And then now for him to see, to have it now, when I see it, I'm like, that's how it should be, like they said,
Yeah. A lot of them now, like I still see some guys now getting a card when they're really young. That's cool, but they don't understand their history and stuff like that. And it's, okay, maybe they could get getting, but wanting it is awesome.
Yeah.
Just wanting it,
Of course.
yeah. That's like, that's cool. Even my son, when he saw mine, he goes, damn, I want to get my done. He goes, it's gonna cut you 5 weeks of your EBRC. That's what I think in my head.
36 is a good age.
So I was like thinking to myself, maybe wait until you get back from on your break, when you go on your break from the US and go back. Yeah, maybe it's a good time to carve it.
Yeah.
Because he wants it. Okay.
You don't want to be like that video on Instagram that's got all those kids over at Mission Bay. You seen that video?
Oh,
It's got all these kids and they're wearing
they got
ears like
They
that.
got keep it.
Yeah, and all the Balinese looking like, what's going on here?
Who
said
someone said that?
If you're Samoan, you look and you're like, Carlo, fuck. Unlucky us.
Who said that? I saw that video.
Yeah.
It's one of my mates that said it.
Yeah, and I was like, of all the places, Mission Bay.
And
Like,
it's
I'm sure there's more discreet places, man.
Dude.
And there's about 6 of them, eh? And like, the police are like,
nah.
is this a
Nah.
challenge? Have they been working out?
Bishop Bay got the good salt water, right?
That's why they're
Bay's got
good.
the good salt
That's
water,
why they're
right?
That's stuff you gotta take to take a bit of beach.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, Sully. Oh, I get it. I got it. Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
That'll fight
Yeah.
like you said. They put them through that. Oh, my gosh.
You know how you organized the basketball tournament last year for the kids? Like, man, how much work did you put into that? Because that was an amazing tournament.
Yeah, man.
Like-
Hey, you guys did awesome coverage of that, man. That was awesome, man, bro. I still look back at the videos.
Yeah.
And the kids are like, big smiles and like being into like the superstars. I was like, Sully, this is me, man. So it was real good. Even just so I always share it even now and then because share it. So the organizing of it was it made it easier because I was passionate about it. So it wasn't a burden. It was like, it was easy. So we'll do it. And like having Redver looking after a stadium. And having Logan Nahing and her crew looking after the tournament itself. Those were the two main things. Yeah, everything else just fell in place. So once I had those people in place, sweet, everything else was easy. It was just getting the teams there. And I knew it was easy once I just approached certain people to provide teams for their nations. Hey, represent this. You represent UA. Do it for the cookies. Do it for Tonga. Okay, cool, sweet. So that's why it made things easier. And for me to run the tournament and run Auckland Samoa basketball, it was a little bit hard at first, but then it showed the support with like Puni Palele and Dale Rasmussen and Aaron Archie and Tui, Coach Tui, and all the parents involved with their program. So it made things easier. So I don't have to coach every single team. They're there to help every team. They're there, and their knowledge from playing basketball, because you're putting in.
Yeah.
So you're putting like bags.
Him and Monty, yeah.
Yeah, Monty. So so they're playing in our masters team. Yeah, both of them. So it's good to have him back involved in our community. Because if he wasn't involved in, so I don't know what he'll be doing. Probably be coaching somewhere else, but. I know he enjoys coaching our Samoan kids and stuff like that. He's a conditioning coach, so he makes them train around. So every time they see Puri walk in, they're like, oh no, good Puri's here, Coach Puri's here. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
I caught up. So at the tournament, I caught up and I had a good talk with Dale. This was during the
Rasmussen?
Yeah, during the during the performances.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying to me, like, he had only just recently jumped on board, and he was like, I could see he was excited because he was like, man, I could just see, you know, I was talking to you before, but I could just see what this can become, you know, for our people in that. And, you know, the thing about Dale, he's good at what he does. And when he was like, man, I can see, you know, I want to give, you know, I had a good talk with several, do this and that. And when you get guys like that, you know, and guys, ballers from way back, you know, and you've got them at good positions, like he's good at what he does. Man,
yeah, he's good at what he does.
Good for you, you know.
Yeah, that's right. So this tournament, this adults one, won't be as, I would say, as like, you know how we had the Whiwhia night for won't be like that, because that tournament that's the starting point of this tournament. Those kids, this adults one, same concept, but there are because there aren't many, I would say, adults that are from those countries that play. You know what I mean? There's not many full Koilaus, there's not many full New Wales, there's not many. So that's why the numbers are this, which is fine anyway, because their kids are playing. Their kids will be playing in the next one. So for them to play in this tournament, they're happy that I get to play for Cook Islands, I get to play for New Wales, Busters, that kind of thing, and to go out there represent and to know that, I didn't know you're Tongan, I didn't know you're Cook Island, after your Samoa, we play for us, those kind of things, you know. Bit of banter between all the boys and stuff like that. So, but it's good. It's good. But at the same time, it's getting like a day all on board and helping out and having that youth tournament grow from there. That's the goal, is making it grow. So by the time they get to our age, Open age, they're still playing, because that's for them. So that's why the two tournaments separated, because these guys that are playing in this Opens tournament, those guys are the feeders to help out with these kids. So they're the players. So they go help out, manage, go help them do something. You know, help join the communities. And they don't just play basketball just for yourself. Try and, I mean, I'm not going to force their arm to do it, but at the same time, I want them to come in and help out. And there are a lot of people that talk about it. Oh yeah, do this. Yeah, but come and help, man.
Well, here's your chance. Well, how many? So we caught up with that trick and you had 10 ideas. Implement one of them.
I put 14 teams. Well, you know, your son was playing. You know, you enjoyed it, man. It was good seeing him up in front, man. Oh, shucks. It was good in the Siva. So it was good, and that was one of the highlights of the tournament, having that Siva and doing the Siva. That was because those kids, they need something. I saw a couple of teary eyes from parents watching this, like they were crying. Oh, my son's that's him. And and they probably never would do that again at school. But now, hopefully, they've done it now. That they're able to join my poly club at school now. Sick, all good. That's the whole idea.
That was definitely the best part of that youth tournament. When you throw in the cultural aspect, you know, having the Whiwhia night, and the kids, you know, taking part. I mean, even those practices when Cruz went down to the practices. I mean, see the kids are into it. Like, it's not just basketball. It's Polynesian basketball. You know, it's getting the kids to know their culture in a way where, you know, they're playing a sport too. A sport that they like to play. And man, it's just so well done, eh? Like those 3 days, and to happen after all those setbacks with the COVID, all those lockdowns all through the year.
My
you know, honestly, it came out really well. Eh?
Well, you know, the other thing about that Whiwhia night is like there are kids, like you said. There's, you know, New Zealand's changing, Auckland's changing. There's a lot of Afakasti kids, and there's probably kids who don't know their identity or haven't had a chance to express their identity. And when you give them a chance to represent, you know, either their mum or their dad side play for Samoa, play for Tonga, and then they get to go up and dance. It's them, because, you know, you have a lot of kids that go through and like, oh, what are you? What are you, Palangi? Or you, Samoa, what are you, half of this, half that?
Yeah.
And then when they get a chance to go in and see that, then they go, oh, this is who I am, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I could tell, but because you looked at them, it was like, a lot of fair Samoans. Oh mate, these German,
German Samoans.
But you look at them and you could just tell by the way they seem like they're not naturally think, but man, good on them.
Yeah.
And you can see they cover it right by naturally, because like when we all brought up in church, we know how to see because you're taught from 5.
Yeah.
You see them dancing. The enthusiasm takes over that song. And you can tell. Because you looked at all those kids, mate, every single one of them is going hard. I was like, watching Palangis. That's what I loved about it. And we talked about later. That is the highlight. Whoever wins or loses. It's not about that. These kids have managed to showcase and find their identity.
I told all the listeners too, hey, look, make sure you guys do something. Do us. But I shifted because I meant to be on the Sunday, but I shifted it to Saturday, and then it was too late for the other groups to do any big items like Kasima, so there's a song or haka or something like that, which is cool. But I want to make sure that because I'm running the tournament and I also look after the Samoan side. That, hey, we set the bar on the Pacific. This is where we sit right here. No lower. Just we sit right here. So after seeing that. Just by all the talks for all the nations, they're getting ready.
That's the thing. They're getting ready. Because you don't want to be the guy that came to the party with a rape me. Because he came and put the pot at the head table, and there's the other one's like this. We were supposed to bring something to that, But that's the cool thing, and that's the competitiveness about that's that quiet competitive. Between us islanders, and we're all islanders, but we like to have a little jab. It's all so friendly fire, but we always like to outshine them. So man, I'm proud. I'm glad to hear that because I know that when you speak something big, if I see some Sivafi styles or something, go
but that's it. That come on, so just see what. So that was one thing I want to make sure that the kids, they need it. For this adult tournament, I feel like a lot of the, because I play ball and for me I went to Samoan group and I did all of that stuff. There's not many I would say that play at a Division 2, Division 1 level like me. That's not, because there's a lot of, how would you call it? There are a lot of Samoans that play ball at their level, but they're Palangi. For me, it's like, I'm Samoan. I play at their level, I'm Samoan. I'm going to be Samoan all the way through. I'm not going to change who I am. And even when I was playing in Wellington, almost all the boys that hung with, they're all Palangis. So
like how you grew up playing sport, just swap rugby for basketball.
Yeah, same. So it was like, so they were high level players, but they also forgot their ngafa until basketball was done. Then they want to come back to it. We'll come back to my ngafa now. That's fine, that's cool. But this older group now that's playing now, they are almost, I wouldn't say the lost ones, but they're the ones that are sort of like the founders that for island basketball for New Zealand. All the Punis and all of those guys, like the George Savilas, those guys are they come through that pathway. Not and then now they're putting back into basketball, which is great. But at the same time, it's like, well, some of them have lost their cultural aspects. And so this tournament, this adult one, is just to pull them together. First step is to acknowledge who they are. Acknowledge the for your way in Samoa, you wear konga, whatever it is, but acknowledge that first. Cool, and then we can move from there. But I want to make sure that the youth one was different. That it's not just about ball, it's about cultural acknowledgement. Samoan Siva, Tongan Siva, whatever. You come with this first, And then once you get seeing the kids come to the practices, so there's like 40 kids here. So this is all good. So that made me proud, made me proud. And then I think when I started up and I did launga and stuff like that, a lot of the parents were like, "Oh shucks, you can speak Samoan." Like, well, shucks, I'm not the part. I'm born here, but I can speak Samoan fluently. So it was actually quite good. And acknowledging some of the makuas that came. Do you remember that parent that came and the Lomakua that came? One of the, I think he might have been outside or something.
She not the one I remember I met when she was upstairs. She was in the wheelchair. She was like, I talked to her and she was like, "Did you hear that launga?" I was like,
Yeah, so I think so. Yes, there was a lady that. Yeah, I think her daughter was there. I just asked her, you have to acknowledge the Makua and stuff like that. So I wanted so the kids, just seeing all the faces. Some of the kids they'd never been in and around a sort of like a situation like that when you for long like that. They've never been there. They grew up around the bar and stuff. Walk around, hey, sit down now, sit down, and the acknowledgements. You throw back and forth between the Makuas. They've probably never been there, but for them sitting there and just watching it like this and not understanding a word we're saying. They're like this. Oh, can you get up now? Yeah. Oh, man, crack up.
So, Sefo, before we came on the mic, you were telling me about the next youth tournament was going to be more.
Yeah.
You got more, like double the numbers?
Well, yeah, so we're probably looking at between 70 and 80 teams.
Sure.
So, yeah, just because now that it's grown and we've provided, Tonga and Samoa has provided the maximum amount of teams for this tournament, which is 14. So now that the other nations provide maybe 10 or 8, so they're looking at putting the maximum number of teams, which is about 12 teams is the maximum, 2 male and female, boys and girls for each age group, 13 all the way up. But this time it's going to go from 23s, so 19, not 21s, but the 23s. So that because the age group there, the age gap. So yeah, so now it'll be bigger, maybe a 4-day event. Because of the numbers there, yeah. So, because last time was 3, and maybe a 4-day, which is good. Because now it shows what I'm trying to get to is the look what the Māoris have. 200 teams, 200 teams, like what the heck? And that's just I'm not sure if they're all Māoris, but they might be from the like different, little bit of Māori here. Yeah. So that could be cool. But this one, it's straight. You must be this because if you're a little bit, that's fine. But you must be a little bit, 1% or 0.5% or whatever that. That's who you are.
Or if you're half Tongan, half Samoan, you choose which one.
It's up to you. I was saying, well, if you're 40% Tongan, then you go Tongan.
But that's not the thing I was asking you. With the Tongan teams, there were like 2 or 3 of them or something. But how come they can't use the name? I noticed that the Tongan teams couldn't use Tongan on there.
They had Tabo, so they had Tongan. Or what it means? Yeah, I know what you mean.
Was that a thing, or was it just
how
it is?
Them. It's just the Tongan Aotearoa Basketball Association. Yeah, they still Tonga, but they don't have the. I think they still represent Tonga. This next one, they'll have the Tongan front in the front of it, just like the Samoan uniforms. So yeah, so those are.
We were trying to start a bit of controversy there with the MMT kind.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking that. I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed Samoa.
Yeah.
Niue. All the countries had their country on there, but except for the Tongan teams. There was I never saw any.
Name Tonga on there. It could be an association thing because because they're quite strict. Like you have to have.
That's what I was thinking.
Well,
from the
there was in the 2000, I think it was 2019, they had the games in Papua New Guinea, under 15s FIBA champions. Tonga pulled out in the last minute, bro. Literally a week before they were leaving, and they have been in those competitions for over 30 years. They pulled out there in the 15s, and just because there was an issue with the New Zealand and Australian cohort of players, they didn't want to work together, the people up top, and it forced them to. And so the team had for instance, the team had 10 players, 12 players, 5 of them from New Zealand. So when one of the association head of the association here said, "Look, we're not going to be part of this wider group," so they're going to pull out. This is one of the organisers, but it's up to you whether you guys want to go or not. And obviously the kids are going to be like, "Oh, no, we're not going to go if you're not going to go."
Yeah.
So they didn't. Another team. So when I heard that, and I was thinking to myself, whose loss is it? Try and, even though you said what you said, still tell them to go.
Well, you'd think they'd put the kids first, because it's a once. Some of these kids might not even make another tournament. Again. So this is their chance to.
Yeah. So there's kids that still win anyway.
Yeah.
The ones that pay and stuff like that, but they couldn't play because there's no team. So they put them out the roster. I'm like, oh, and it was quite sad when they happened. When I heard that, and I was thinking to myself, how much did you, because of like, I just want to try and just tell them, push as much as you can for them to go, even though you're not part of that, But they were their kids. So it was like, oh. Okay. So there's a bit of that now in New Zealand.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why you see that.
Yeah.
And there's my mate Nyasi, I don't know if you know him. He's about 6'8" Tongan guy. He runs his IAT sort of Tongan development. He's got no kids and stuff like that, but he's trying to develop more. He's a bit of a nomad, but he's one of my good friends. But anyway, and then there's Steve Heddock of Taba. All the youth kids, strong, all good. It's awesome. They've got a great development program. And, so those are the only two sort of recognised Tongan associations here. Yeah. I don't know many. And then, there's Samoa. So, Auckland Samoa, there's only pretty much one program, which is the program I'm running. And I'm trying to push to have a program at South Auckland. But, I don't know, everyone out there's trying to keep for themselves, and I'm thinking to myself, why? Where are those kids going? Have you got any passports for those kids? Oh, we're trying to develop our programs in schools. Yeah, but you can't. Look, the thing is, it's good, but those kids are not going to get better until individually we have to get better ourselves, because that's why those big schools are doing well, because they're paying. So schools have to change the way they do things. They pay for kids, pay for their tuition, give them free education at LaSalle or anywhere at those schools, because that's the problem, is that they're not the school's not providing. That's why the kids are leaving, and that's why we're losing all our talent out there, because they're leaving. But the school's not giving us scholarship. St. Kitts is giving us like a $40,000 scholarship, higher education, and the school's not helping the parents out. So it's a burden that the parents have to pay. So you can't battle with that. It's like, well, that's why we're losing. Schools, be loyalty. Loyalty's not going to pay the bills, man. And that's straight. Like, if I was a parent and living out there and my son was talented, the school's not providing anything, you go over there, because the school can recognize your talent. They're going to put you in a good place, good education, fed everything, sweet. It's money that we don't have to pay for.
So is that what's happening with the North Shore schools?
Yeah.
Like going into South Auckland? Grab that guy. We'll get him a scholarship. Come to Westlake, come to Rangitoto.
That's right. Yeah. Well, most of the kids now, I think they do see that, because there's a lot of copy there. And they got high quality coaches out there. Our South Auckland, the coaching's limited the coaching, and it wasn't like that back in the days. Back when I was playing in the mid-90s, it was high level. Now it's I don't know.
Auckland schools have been running that system for the last 40 years.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, just look at rugby.
Rugby,
it's always been
good prime example.
That's where we're just following that model.
Yeah.
And we know every school knows where the talent is. If you can't get it in South Auckland, just like Kelston and all those other schools, just go Samoa. And we'll wait for the Richard Rasmussens and all that of the world to come in. I was at Kelston when we had Lockie Crichton in there.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, like I said before, man, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. You know what I mean? It's a sad aspect, but you've got to. If you go through the normal way, you're just going to stay with the normal path. So you've got to find alternative ways. And as much as I don't like these schools like St. Kitts and Westlake and that coming into West Auckland, going out to South Auckland. Well, if you're going to offer a parent, if you're going to say to a parent, we'll give your kids their school uniform, we'll pay for their, they're going to get a good education. We're a decile 10 school. As a parent, and you can turn on and go, but I want to stay with my boys. You're going to stay on the bus and get that's what you're going to do, boy.
I'm going to see, you're boarding there now. I didn't see you on the weekends.
But I mean, I can see because we know the system.
Yeah.
You know, we're brought up in the 90s.
Yeah.
We saw how these schools were doing it. Mount Albert Grammar and all, you know. And now basketball's just adopting the same thing.
Yeah.
It happens with netball. It happens with all these other sports. And the thing about basketball now, the numbers. Hey, we know that it's besides football, is the most highly participation. It's got the numbers.
Yeah.
Hey, so
The numbers are
every
there.
school. You know, the prime example. I went to Liston College. If we were there, they we could never get a senior basketball team running. The coach would be the maths teacher. All you guys just run on the court and do whatever you do. You know, we got kicked out one year because we had a fight with White Secretary, and we never went back. And then my nephew, he went to Liston. I think it was around 2014, 2015, and he came back and said, "Man, have you seen the gym? You know, Liston's got a premier team, eh? You know, Liston's this and that. Or basketball's it's right up there with the first 15 in Preston." I was like, "What?" He said, "Bro, it's one of the sports that they've pushed. A lot of kids are here on scholarship for that." And I remember dropping off my nephew. He was in the first 15. I'd drop him off to training. Like, he would have 6 o'clock training, and like he'll tell me, "Oh, the basketball boys are already here. They start at 5:30." You know, and I was like, when did we become one of those schools? But you know, we are that. You know, if you look at West Auckland. Liston College is that boys' school where it's got the money now, and they know where the money's at. It's in basketball,
and you know, because it's a Catholic school, it's our people. It's our Samoans. You know, culturally, well, hey, Catholic Church, Catholic school.
Yeah, that's right.
So
you follow. You go to the Holy Cross and the St. Paul's. And and it's like natural progression. You know, and the thing now is, Liston College is a viable. Basketball, it's a place. It's probably the only place in West Auckland now.
Well,
I'm not sure.
They're the only Prem team that West Auckland has.
So Kelston's not in the.
No.
Oh, true.
No.
Man,
West Auckland, and they're on the string now, Liston, because they could be changing their coaches and stuff like that, and a lot of places. Because I coached there. For like 2 seasons. Drew was there, and I just shared his highlights on Facebook when he was. 15 years old, the man was ripping up, and I couldn't believe, bro, this kid's 15 years old ripping all these kids up. So listen, boy. It was it's a school that needed it, and because Doe did a great job because he recruited all these kids from different places and formed a strong team. They were competitors in the Premier grade. Yeah, so it's good and we need to try and West Auckland. We need to try and keep, even though, because I'm the director at Avondale College, basketball, I'm there. And I just,
with Yash?
Yes.
So he runs the girls program.
Zealous,
he's on the girls program.
He's
on the girls program, and I said, "Oh yes, bro, run the program properly." So he's always asking. So it's good. He's good. He's there.
Yeah,
he's good. He's there. So I brought my daughter there to help with the program. But now that because of COVID, our team can't progress and play for that premier grade. Everyone stays the same. So I was like, we have to find another route. We have to go back to Messi because Messi's in Premier, the girls. Yeah, so Messi and Liston are the only 2 schools that are in the Premier grade in West Auckland.
And it's a sad thing because we know how good West Auckland ballers are. You know,
it's sad. Like that kid Levick, he was from Marosco. So a kid from there. So they poached him. Come out here. They poached a few other kids. Come to Auckland. St. Kitts. Like, how you gonna do with that?
Yeah, it's cool. Like that secondary school thing. And when Tim was here, we talked about like the possibility of having like a AAU kind of style basketball.
Well, they've got that. They've got that now.
You know, and it blowing up. Like, I hope it does, because we were talking about...
Like a local one.
Yeah, like a local one. You know, it's kind of funny, because I was just in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm sure, like, the way that we are, it'll probably end up, like, above the rim, where you've got the local gang, like Birdie, recruiting all the boys going to his nightclubs and all that, and, you know, that's the thing about when you kind of... If you don't have any structure stuff like that, and you open it up, it's always going to be open up to corrupt. There's always a possibility that it can be corrupted.
Yeah. So there's a tournament in April called the Showcase.
Oh.
So there's the AAU style play here. So
Who's running that?
Hoop Nation.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So now that actually Auckland basketball, the reps play, and Waitaki they play, they all play in this Easter tournament. So they're trying to stop the kids that are playing for them to go to this tournament.
Oh,
which is bad. It's like, bro, you shouldn't dictate what they could do, man. The kids should be able to do what they want.
That's right.
So if they're playing in a regular season with the reps, that's fine. But these are tournaments they're going. They should be allowed to go play in these tournaments. But it's no. If you, so it's like, bro, you guys are dictators. That's really bad.
Well, they haven't signed any contracts with you.
Yeah, like,
you're not paying them.
Yeah, we're paying you.
That's right. How do they see that? That stinks because you could never do that in America. Like it's like going to the all these kids that play high school, like Lamelo Ball and all them. You know how he had the stack team and they were playing AAU as well. And now these kids, you're trying to dictate to these kids. Yeah, you listen.
You listen, but you pay your fees to me.
That's right. But the other thing is like they could actually go like this. Well, if you go play there, you're not gonna make any more rep teams. But that needs if they start doing that, that should be exposed because that's blackmail and that's look at these kids. These kids are only. Like they're young kids.
Straight power tripping.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's those. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a bit annoyed at that.
So the guy Ollie Bryce. Ollie Bryce.
Yeah.
So he was the one that told her. He told because my daughter went to the trials, and I was saying, if you play if you're not gonna go down with the team down to if you're looking to go to Hoop Nation, the Showcase, then you're gonna be dropped to the B team.
Come on, Ollie. Ollie. Come on, Ollie.
That's Ollie from Youth Town, eh? Is that the Ollie?
Yeah, Ollie Bryce.
Yeah.
It was sad hearing. I was like,
well, you can't do that.
Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to have Waitaki, they have North Harbour, have the teams in Auckland play in the Easter competition. But the thing is, what's the point of playing in a tournament, in an Easter tournament? We're going to play them in the regular season anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, why are you trying to? It's because of this. They want this.
Yeah.
They want money. They take their money. When Hoop Nation and Paul of them, they are showing a different avenue for kids. They are showing, there's another route here. There's another route here. But these guys here, they're not creating any routes for kids. They want to keep them here. Like, if the opportunity is there for our kids to play elsewhere at a higher level, let them.
You know how unfair that is?
Bro.
It's like if you make the Auckland team, you're there.
Yeah.
And there's guys that are on the outer that would never get a chance because there's no other, like you said, there's other avenues. But then when you go to these tournaments that Hoop Nation have, you get these Auckland guys that bring there's other 3 or 4 guys that were on, on the outer, and they, like I say, iron sharpens iron. These guys are gonna be brought up to the level, and then you've got all this circle of people around outside of that are going to get exposure in that as well. So, you'd think that all these, like New Zealand basketball would think this is only going to be good for us. If these kids go off and keep playing other kids from different, different areas of that wouldn't make these rep teams.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, you're right.
No, but I'm a bit annoyed, eh?
It was quite sad, man. It was like
because you're blackmailing these kids, man.
Yeah, you're blackmailing. I was like, you can't play. Man, that's bullshit, bro.
Yeah,
that is bullshit, Ollie, man. How could you say that to these kids? You'll be dropped to the B team. Why? Because they made a choice, or they're not good enough. I can understand they're not good enough, but if they made a choice, they want to play in this tournament. They shouldn't make a decision. No, you play for this B team, bro. That's just like, come on, man.
You could understand if it was professional. Hey, if they're a professional, you've signed a contract. We're paying you, so you can't go play for. It's like it would be like you playing for the Warriors and then going to play for the Bulldogs the next week because it's a different tournament. You couldn't.
Yeah.
They're pretending to have those contracts. They're pretending to have a contract. Right. I've got this imagining contract. You know what? You signed it.
Yeah.
Imaginary signed it.
Yeah.
Signed this imaginary contract. Sorry, you can't play.
Yeah. Sign that in your head.
Yeah. So it's quite sad because he's saying it to some of the good players. And I was like, how could you say that to these kids? How could you, when, if you give them the freedom of choice, they'll make their decision and you get their respect that they'll come back to, and I'll play this competition. Instead of like telling them, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, that's when you force their hand and they're rebellious. They're like, oh, that's stuff you, son of that's all good. That's where you're going to lose them. Give them the choice. And when my daughter came and told me that, and I was thinking to myself, fire out, man. You have changed. You have changed. You're not about the people. Yeah. So.
Well, we asked Tim when he was here on the podcast. He said, what's keeping New Zealand from doing another Stephen Adams? Well, this is it.
Yeah.
This is exactly it.
Well, yeah, Drew never recognises New Zealand, but people are like, oh, you're going to play for New Zealand? Because what for? They never helped me out. Played the competitions here, just went overseas, played over there. Now all of a sudden they want to be, oh yeah, he's a New Zealand kid. He goes, nah, Samoan kid. Samoan kid, that's where I'm from. Because that's the country you represented. Sad. That's it's interesting how they sit there and I was suddenly, man, you're just taking all these kids to make money and you need to get rid of that stuff.
Well, hopefully they can resolve it, eh? Like, the next time we jump on after we start, priming up for the next tournament. Plus, NBA finals coming up soon.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that stuff as well.
Yeah.
But, by then, like, hopefully that stuff's resolved. We can get it. We need to, like, it just sounds like they need to get over themselves, eh? And have a good look and.
That's why they're losing a lot of kids.
Exactly.
Because, Lindsay Tate, he's running his own stuff now. There are heaps of kids, man.
And you'd think Lindsay Tate would be with, because Lindsay Tate, he's a product, he's a product of the system. Tall Black, he's been part of the... Yeah, he's come through.
So it's like, but he sees it as a club that there's other guys that are not basketball heads that come on board and go, let's run this. It's the ABSL service. That's what Waitakere Auckland and Manukau have gone under at the service. So they're doing all the admin stuff, all the servicing stuff with that. And these guys are supporting them by bringing them players. That's what they're doing. So I was like, well, you guys should have kept it by yourselves and just kept it as a club and played in these competitions. You would have got rid of all this stuff. Now you're having these people coming in and questioning your programs and stuff like that. And
are there a lot of guys like Lindsay Tate coming back and then not helping out New Zealand basketball?
Heaps, man.
Damn.
Heaps. Oh, heaps of guys in Wellington. It's because they got no route. There's no routes. It's like, there's some guys there, like, they're out in the areas like Hawke's Bay. There's a guy out there, Everard Butler, he runs his own stuff now out there. PJ runs his stuff with Lindsay. Who else is running stuff? And then you get some Wellington guys doing their own stuff now. But there's not enough. There's a lot of NBL players there, but I think they've sort of... Their kids are probably playing, but they're probably not giving enough in themselves because they see it's hard to try and get things going, Yeah, no. Yeah.
We can only pray for New Zealand.
You're right. You can only pray.
So listen, for man, so what's coming next? You got the men's basketball and then you got the youth in October?
Yeah, youth in October,
so you got a lot of work this year.
Yeah, a bit of work. So just planning it next week, as teams are, as us Pacific Islanders are always late about getting their fees in. Hey, the tournament's not going to pay itself, man. So I'm talking to all you teams out there still with fees. Oh, man. Can I pay next week? This is the last week, man. Come on. This is the last week, Sunday.
So where's the tournament?
It's at the Trust Stadium.
Trust Stadium.
It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And there's a fear night on the Saturday. The fifth night is going to be TJ Toto and his band up there. So yes, make sure you guys are there.
So they're straight to hang out.
So from 7 o'clock to 12, he'll be performing for like 3 hours, and then DJ Johnny will take over and DJ after that, and so there'll be it's alcohol can't be sold to minors and stuff like that. It'll be upstairs, so it's upstairs at the stadium, so it's a function because it's an adults tournament. Almost have a function after that. There are no door sales, so it's $10 for ticket and stuff like that. So it's done online and stuff like that. So but it's going to be an interesting tournament. There's a cover charge. Well, it's not really a cover charge of getting into the stadium. It's just a gold coin entry, and it's a donation. So if you didn't have to pay, but it goes. You'll see the Tongan youth team. They'll be fundraising for the trip down to April, so I've given the opportunity for a team each day to, get some kupe for them to help them go down to this tournament. Polynesian Basketball was all about helping out those youth communities. That's what they do. That's what we're there for. I had to pitch that to the owner because they're trying to get me to get tiki to come. Oh, what tiki for?
Yeah.
So it's a little gold coin entry, man. I'm gonna get the just $7-8. Nah, man, gold coin entry for these kids. So that's what it is, and it's just to support them in the trip because it's a long way down there in Wanganui, and the tournament in Wanganui is April 2nd to the 5th, and that's the showcase tournament for our youth. So our Pacific teams are going to be fundraising at that tournament. Yeah.
Shout out.
Damn, thank you, man.
No worries.
How long was that? How long was that?
That
was about 2
hours 30.
No. And you touched on a few things. Come back. Actually, before you go, man, NBA team?
It'll be Lakers.
Oh.
What's your team? I'm a Knicks guy.
Knicks.
But you're the first non-Knicks guest, eh?
First non-Knicks guest.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
So we had Tim come on. He was a huge Knicks guy, and Ken PC was the Knicks guy too.
Yeah.
It must be us New York state of mind people. We.
They're all Knicks. I think the Knicks. They've got a good run, but that's a different conversation, right?
Yeah. Now that's for the fast break points there, eh? Shadows.
Thank
you, brother.
All good. Ty, love me?
Nah, man. Thank